Hey everyone, Wanderbots here, and welcome to Citizen Sleeper 2, I guess the latest game by Jump Over the Age, who made Citizen Sleeper 1 and In Other Waters, which, we enjoyed both of those games a lot. Citizen Sleeper 1 is one of my favorite games ever made, and so I've been very much looking forward to playing this one. It's been kind of agonizing because I've had access to it for a while now, but I didn't want to dive in until launch day, just really to conserve that enthusiasm. So I guess with that, let's dive in. As far as I know, there was no carryover, story stuff.
Instead of being on a space station, I think you're on a ship.
Are these difficulties? Huh. There weren't difficulties in the previous one. That's kind of fun. So broken dice cannot be used. Standard stress tolerance. Death incurs a significant permanent penalty. Ooh. Okay, so the previous game was a lot cozier and didn't have a whole lot of downsides. Death. Permanent penalty. That's spooky. And then dangerous is just death is permanent. So this might actually be a little bit trickier. Okay, so we can be an operator, we can be an extractor, or we can be a machinist.
Same class as before.
Oh, was it? Yeah, you're right. Though in this case, it looks like you're actually locked out of a skill tree entirely, which is tricky. Okay, I think I'm going to go for the machinist, at least for now. Shell usually prefers, I think, the operator, but I don't know. I'm a machine boy. Let's see how this goes. I like the ability to potentially clear stress on a success. That sounds extremely useful. Maybe.
Unknown. The vast and dark interior. In the moment before waking, the dark space before conscious thought, you struggle to find the pieces of yourself. Usually these pieces come with a particular cadence, each appearing sequentially, like the boot process of an old terminal. First, your body, artificial, compromised, but relaying sense data all the same. Then, its context, the breeze of air filtration, the soft contact of your birth in 0G. Then, emotion, coming into focus, coming into your body, bringing with it that first instinct, the one that has framed your past 100 cycles. Fear. But that familiar sequence does not arrive. Instead, you are unmoored in space, your body distant, your context silent, even your emotions somehow obscured and scattered. Among all that disarray, only one familiar thing arrives: the fear. It is a scrambled, panicked fear. The drowning fear, the falling fear, the fear that makes you reach desperately for any stable point. It is the fear that tells you something is wrong. Something is very wrong with you.
Wake up, sleeper.
The voice is whispered in your ear. An act that makes you suddenly aware of your head, pulsing in pain, your body rigid with tension. Sleeper. A familiar name. A mind copied, emulated. A body built, implanted. One person sleeping until their debt is worked away. Their double being made to work, to be consumed, and eventually to be destroyed. A proxy, an emulation, a sleeper. That is what you are. But you escaped. You remember that now. Broke free of your corporate creators. Essen ARP. In search of a future. You cannot remember the details of your escape, but you know the fear has been with you ever since. All of a sudden, you remember you have eyes, and your eyes flicker open. This person's called Lane. Relentless, cruel, and on your trail. Oh no. Do they have a tattoo on their body?
Yeah.
But they look like another sleeper or another cyborg?
Yeah, at least cyborg.
Yeah, because they definitely have some kind of implant on their head and their body is segmented.
Yeah.
Pale eyes in a pale face. Lane. The name comes with its own specific sensation of fear, one you recoil from instinctively.
Sorry to interrupt.
A sharp smirk.
But this ends here.
You search your mind for more than a name.
Is this how you reward me for my generosity?
Lane is leaning over your horizontal floating body, looking down into your eyes.
I took you in, protected you, gave you a purpose.
You try to look away, to the corners of your vision, to find something you understand. Your body does not respond.
But I suppose that wasn't enough.
He reaches into the pocket of his jacket and retrieves a small vial.
This wasn't enough?
The vial glitters. This object you know, and you have known for a long time. Stabilizer. The drug that keeps your artificial body, your emulated mind from inevitable decay. The only balm for your planned obsolescence. The liquid roiling in the vial fills you with disgust. Lane pockets the vial.
But it would be wasted on you now, after what you've done to this body of yours.
He looks at you with a palpable disgust. Lane's eyes scan your body, and as they do, you become aware of the wires and tubes attached to you. Those that were meant to free you from your dependence, from the stabilizer, and the control it grants Lane. Oh. Wait, there's another voice?
Yeah, somebody else. They are free, you piece of shit. I don't need you anymore.
The voice comes from somewhere behind Lane's head. It is a voice you know, but when you search your mind to try to understand why, you only find dizzying darkness.
Shut him up.
Lane barks with command, and you hear the sounds of impact, of pain from elsewhere in the room. You try to move your limbs again, and this time you feel a flicker. The twitch of a finger. You feel the extension and compression of synthetic muscle.
Free, are you?
Lane smirks.
You were free when I disabled your tracker, when I gave you the stabilizer you needed.
He scans your body with angry eyes.
Now you aren't free. You're just broken. I had such big plans for you, Sleeper. I invested in you.
Lane grips your arm hard, and you feel a jolt of reaction. You will be the arm to move. Oh, you will the arm to move. Oh, but... So, the main character is currently strapped to a device that makes them independent of the stabilizer?
Yeah, I think they somehow hacked their body. Either with like a different type of substance or reprogrammed it or replaced stuff.
But what kind of life is that unless...
Well, no, I think it was a one-time surgery thing to kind of reboot themselves without the planned obsolescence.
Interesting. But they're currently helpless.
But you've ruined all that.
Lane speaks louder, over the sound of the struggle behind him.
I will try to preserve your body, of course. I have my own uses for it, but your emulation?
You feel one of his hands searching behind your head. He finds and grips the thick cable running into the port at the base of your skull.
I will burn that out.
Lane jerks forward, slamming across your body and then spinning away out of sight. You feel yourself rolling, the cables plugged into you, looping and wrapping around your limbs. Then you feel hands steadying you, pulling cables. You glance around wildly and see someone diligently unplugging you. You meet his eyes.
Hey!
He waves a hand in your dazed face.
We need to move. Lane won't be out long.
He unloops a cable from around your wrist.
Sleeper, help me out here.
You blink, slowly. Do you know this person? So, your mysterious savior.
Yeah, I think we...
So, the one that had been punching them before?
Yep.
He leans over you, and you feel his hands on the connector, flicking switches, releasing locks.
Come on, come on, come on.
He tugs the connector, clear, and pulls you up. You see the room you're in for the first time, filled with tech and terminals, wires waving everywhere, all lit by big windows looking out on an impossibly bright, screen-filled street beyond. In the corner, you see the dark shape of a floating body surrounded by a glittering constellation of crimson baubles. Is that blood?
Move!
You're wrestled and shoved towards the door, which slides open in front of you, and then you are out in all that brightness, all that movement, gliding hard towards some unknown destination. You come to a stop in a dark alley. The one who guided you here, pausing to catch his breath, he doubles over beside a massive life support unit that sends a lukewarm breeze across your skin. You stare at him, trying to recall anything about him. You notice his tattered jacket, his lightweight clothes. You remember this station runs hot. Something about the power that flows through the place. He looks up and meets your eye.
What's going on, Sleeper?
He wipes sweat from his forehead and it floats away in a swarm of spheres.
Talk to me. Who are you? Might as well.
Okay. You see a concerned frown cross his face.
Don't mess with me, Sleeper. That's not funny.
He comes closer, eyeing you carefully.
What station are we on?
He narrows his eyes, waits for the answer. You close your eyes, trying to recall. You force your way through the dark to the image of a station. No, a city, growing in the back of a vast set of hexagonal solar cells, shadowed by them. You open your eyes. Dark side. The word leaves your mouth like an exhale, an instinct. Before you heard yourself sound it out, you didn't know it was there. He sighs.
And me, who am I?
You see something like fear in his eyes. Panic, perhaps. You stare hard at his face, the slight upturn of his mouth, the intensity of his stare. Nothing comes. He closes his eyes and drops his head, putting a hand to his temple.
The reboot.
He's speaking quietly to himself.
Lane interrupted the process and...
He lifts his head and stares at you.
We need to keep going. We need to leave.
He turns and kicks off down the alley.
Come on, the rig can't be far.
Oh, so your mind is wiped?
Partially. I'll take over for a bit. As you're led through the passages and surface ways of the station, you try to recall your life here. The texture, the temperature of the dark side feels familiar. Oh, temperature of dark side feels familiar, but you struggle to pin specific memories to it. Focusing hard, you recall walking up these passages, cycle after cycle, the rhythms of the stations flowing over you, along with the crowds. You recall desperation and the slow decay of your body that caused it. Then Lane, those pale eyes, offering you a glittering vial, stabilizer, the promise of supplying you more for your work. A deal he locked you into like a cage. There your memory fails you, but in the dark beyond that moment, the residue of panic, of fear remains. You were Lane's prisoner, Lane's plaything. You shudder in the cold passage. Wait. Your guide holds up a hand, and you stop your glide along the wall. Ahead you see the tunnel open up into a wide, open bay, with a few doors leading to cylindrical tunnels, the docks. They're watching the rig. He nods towards the docks, and you see one of the doors has a couple of figures flanking it, one covered in ornate tattoos, the other with bright silver implants along their cheekbones. It's Subo, Lane's guys. He looks at you and shakes his head in frustration. All this, it's not coming back to you, is it? Something catches your eye, and you see he's playing with a coin, nervously turning it over and over in his fingers. He sees you looking at it and slips it away. Places a hand on his chest. Miss Seraphin, all right? He looks pained when he speaks. Lane, he was our captor, both of us. We did this so we could escape. We needed to reboot you, to break your dependence on stabilizer. You know what that is, right? You nod meekly. But Lane interrupted me back there. The reboot didn't complete, and... He sighs and shakes his head. We can still make this work. He looks back at the docks. I'll lead them away. You get the docking bridge open. If we make it to the rig, I know how to get us in.
Now, one thing. He looks human, doesn't he?
Yeah. Why?
Oh, it's just that I don't know what are those tubes around his neck?
I think it might be just like a necklace kind of deal.
That they're chewing on?
I don't know. Could be a nervous tick. I mean, if he already is flipping a coin, I wouldn't put it past him to nibble on a tube.
Mm-hmm.
Got that? He searches your face for a sign of recognition. I've got it. Get that door open. He pats you on the shoulder.
I would have asked what the rig is. Is
I don't
it
want to
their
panic the
personal
guy
ship?
too much. It's the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can do this. Seraphin kicks off hard and glides to the docks. Over here, shitheads! He bellows to the guards as he barrels through. They immediately push off from the wall, giving chase.
Ooh, tutorial.
During scenes, you may encounter skill checks where you can perform certain actions during using your skills. Like dice actions you'll encounter later, skill checks can have positive, neutral, or negative outcomes. The better the rating of your skill, the more likely you will succeed. The odds of success are displayed on the... when you select the check. We can see more from the menu. So you wait a breath, then glide across to the door they were guarding. You look, already panicked, at the tightly sealed door. Its control panel locked out. You hear a shout from somewhere nearby. You need to get it open. So, 50% positive, 50% neutral, so break the seal.
Yeah, I mean, you are a machinist, so engineering seems to work.
Positive outcome, reduce stress. So whenever we do a skill check, we lose stress. Oh, that's extremely useful.
And stress, that Well, does it reduce your die rolls or the number of die you have?
I'm not entirely sure how stress works in this yet, but you can gain stress to gain bonuses.
Mm.
And I don't know how you clear stress, but having a character feature that makes it so I automatically clear stress seems extremely powerful. Maybe. You shift to the central access panel and wrench it open. It only takes a moment to understand the mechanism. And you reach in and snap the locking axis, the door popping open with a hiss. Go, go! Seraphim flies past you, through the doorway, into the docking tunnel. You see the guards approaching fast across the docks and quickly glide after Seraphim. Seraphim's already at the rig's door, inputting an entry code. The rig's door scissors open, and you both rush inside. Quickly! Seraphim grabs you by the arm and drags you into the cockpit, the ship's layout hazy in your mind. He dumps you in a flight seat and straps himself into his own. You see him tap a series of buttons as he does, talking to himself. Come on. The rig's drive rumbles into life, and Seraphim slams a button on the console. You feel the force of the ship's acceleration as it pulls away.
You're accelerating. That was Spitfire right there.
I mean, it seems like a hasty moment, so speed.
Mm-hmm.
You can take back over.
Your refuge in the belt. So, would the belt be an asteroid belt or some other layer of space? As the ship glides into place on the connecting bridge, its automatic systems nudged there by the port's docking protocols, you feel a sense of relief. Seraphim burned hard out of the dark side, and you dropped in and out of consciousness in your seat as the rig made its way across the belt. But now, with open space between you and Lane, you feel fresher, more awake. Seraphim breaks the silence.
We're good, sleeper.
His eyes don't leave the monitor, and you realize that this part of your escape is routine for him. You and he must have docked at this ship countless times on your work for Lane. The problem is, you don't remember any of them.
We made it,
he whispers, closing his eyes and letting out a sigh.
We certainly did.
He turns, and you see a pained look on his face, as if remembering something difficult. Have you said this exact same thing to him before? In the same situation?
Are you okay?
He looks at you, chewing one side of his lip, searching your face.
Not really.
He puffs. I hope this isn't one of those situations where they were lovers or something, and you don't remember any of it.
Maybe.
That's definitely happened in things in the past where when you have a mind wipe and it could be someone really close to you, a friend, a sibling, and if you have no recollection of them or the history that you share, it's very one-sided, isn't it? Because they have an expectation of you, but you have no... And then there's also the concern of, will you ever be as you were before?
Yeah.
Or do they have to rebuild that relationship from scratch?
I doubt it's a lover situation. I bet you were just kind of...
Really good friends.
Really good friends, practically siblings.
Seraphim reaches up, flicking through a set of switches in a practical fashion, completing the shutdown. You watch, a little frustrated with your own uselessness. Running the rig, you realize, is just another thing that you've forgotten. A clunk that runs through the walls of the ship is followed by a short percussive alarm tone from the pilot's console. Docking complete. Seraphim kicks off from his seat, twisting as he glides past you towards the back of the cockpit. His hands find the rails on either side of the door and he pauses, facing into the corridor beyond. He turns back to you, backlit in cold cyan.
We need a plan.
He glances around.
Lane's not going to let us slip away quietly.
He sighs. So we can talk, run, or hide. So where are we precisely? We're docked somewhere else.
I don't think we're on dockside. I think this is a separate station. It looks smaller. Maybe. Though it could be on dark side, considering this seems to be a hexagonal solar panel. So this might actually just be a different part of the station.
I would personally like to talk, but only when we know that we're safe. So
no,
I think
this is we need to talk to Lane.
Oh. I don't think we need to talk to Lane.
I say we keep running.
Seraphim nods.
That's what it feels like, right? That we can never get far enough away from that shithead.
You see a shiver run through him, and know that he suffered as much as you did under Lane.
We bought ourselves some time.
He glances through the cockpit window at the blinking lights of the station.
I may not remember Hexport, but I do. There are plenty of opportunities here for us, if we can keep our heads down.
He turns back to the corridor.
And that's what we'll do.
He pushes off and glides towards the main lock, and you follow, pulling yourself along, hand over hand in 0G.
We already emptied the tank on this thing.
He slaps a hand against the ship's insides.
So we need to refuel, and that won't be cheap. But if you and I know one thing, Sleeper, it's how to work. I'm gonna get myself reacquainted. See if I can turn up any old connections. People that might throw us an easy contract.
He glances back over his shoulder.
You keep out of trouble. I think low profile.
Mm-hmm.
Low profile, got it.
Seraphin stops at the airlock.
Stopping the reboot halfway through.
He pulls a worn crew jacket from its locker and starts pulling it on.
We don't know what that did to you.
He jams an arm into a sleeve.
I don't want you passing out and...
He stops.
I'll be fine, don't baby me, or... let's go with the bottom one.
Yeah, because he is the only one who knows who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It'll take both of us.
Seraphin sighs.
I hate when you're right.
He grabs another crew jacket and thrusts it at you.
Just put the damn hood up, will you?
You take it and slip it on.
Thank you.
Seraphin nods. He stabs at the bottom... Oh, stabs at the button. Not the bottom. To open up the lock. The inner door hisses open, and Seraphin glides through.
Wait for a bit, then leave. Anyone looking for us will be looking for two people traveling together.
He looks at you in your worn crew jacket, a limited disguise for what is clearly a sleeper.
We may meet back here later. Any trouble? Same thing. Meet here.
He surveys your disguise again and shakes his head.
This is a shitty idea.
He gives you one last look.
Maybe find yourself something to eat.
Suddenly you recognize Seraphin's instinct to look after you. A flash of a relationship now lost to the reboot.
Catch.
Seraphin throws a handful of something towards you. You manage to grab the projectiles, and when you open your hand, you see a stack of cryochits.
Those should get you some food. We'll need some more fuel and supplies.
He grimaces.
That means odd jobs on the station, for both of us.
Seraphin kicks off and glides down the docking bridge.
Don't go too far, alright?
He shouts as he leaves.
Take it slow.
And with that, he is gone, leaving the connecting bridge and heading into Hexport's docking concourse. You wait for a moment in silence. Ooh, so think about Seraphin, think about Lane, or make a plan.
Think about Seraphin.
It's hard to know what's going on inside Seraphin's head. Here he is, on some hapless escape plan with a friend who can't remember a thing about him. You try to imagine how close you both must have been for him to agree to this thing. But it is painful to think about. That's all gone now anyway. All you can do is move on. You shake the thoughts from your head and pull the jacket tight. Let's see what Hexport has to offer. You kick off and glide into port.
I was hoping we could do all of those, but alas. So welcome to Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. The game runs in cycles, during which you can perform actions with your dice, use cryo to buy food, fuel, supplies, and items, progress clocks towards new scenes and events. You can review tutorials at any time, use the mouse wheel to scroll your view, select and right click. Oh, so that's actually really nice.
2 6s, 2 1s, and a 4.
Yep, it's actually kind of a good setup. If we can find safe things to put these 1s into, that's not a bad idea. So what do we have at the docks? In Citizen Sleeper 2, you perform actions by assigning action dice to them. The higher your dice, the more likely you will succeed in action. But your dice will be modified by your skill. Your skill modifier for the action is displayed on the right. It will reduce or increase the value of the dice assigned to that action. Like skill checks, dice actions have 3 outcomes: positive, negative, or neutral. Each action is also rated safe, risky, or dangerous based on the outcomes it has. The more dangerous an action is, the more significant both its rewards and consequences are. I really like this tabletop RPG rule set system. I'd actually love to see it get ported over. I've been kind of noodling at how I could use it for a solo tabletop RPG that I just run for myself. I like the idea of
dice pools.
Yeah, dice pools, dice modifications, having some special abilities attached to them, and then also the time pressure. Not a lot of tabletop RPGs do time pressure well.
I think what makes this unique is that there's dice allocation. So in many games, you're just rolling a die for each and every action that you do. Whereas this one, it's you have a pool of dice, but you're choosing what actions you want to perform well on and what ones you can afford not to.
Clicked on the rig, and I guess it's brought me here. The rig is your ship and home in the Starward Belt. While the rig is docked at a hub, there are multiple areas you can visit. Bunks use dice to reduce stress. Galley use supplies to regain energy. Other locations will unlock as you play. While the rig is in dock at a hub, your crew will also help gather resources to contribute to the upkeep of your ship. You can choose which resources they should focus on in the crew task menu to the left. You have a random chance of acquiring at the beginning of the following cycle. So
I noticed that your cycle clock is on the run.
Yes. So you've put some distance between yourself and Lane, but are sure that he'll close the gap as soon as he's able. And then this is the cycle clock. So we can get extra odd jobs, scavenge fuel, or source supplies. So supplies is probably for food. Okay. So unfortunately, looking at the Hexport docks, we've got two options, which is chat to crews, but that's an engage action.
Yeah, so it's risky. You're not a very good conversationalist.
Yeah. Oh, here it is.
Yep.
Okay. So welcome to the character screen. Here you can upgrade and configure your sleeper. On the left, you can upgrade your skills to improve the skill modifier applied to your dice when you undertake the action. To the right, you can upgrade your push, the unique ability of your class. When upgrading your push, only one upgrade at each level can be active at once. Ooh.
Wait, what can only be active?
So only one of these two can be active.
Oh, so it's a parallel tree.
Yeah, you can configure which upgrade is active only at a hub. So currently, minus stress on focus die, positive outcome, or +1 to affected die. I have 0 points available. So I see. So if I had 2 points, I could invest in either of these. So +1 stress, +2 to lowest die, accrue stress to focus and action die. We'll have to see how this exactly works. We already have minus stress on focus die, positive outcome, or maybe we just always lose stress on a positive outcome. I'm not entirely sure. And it doesn't look like I can put any points in engage ever, so we're locked off on that. Also looks like upgrading my skills is a lot more expensive than it used to be. And it doesn't look like they come with any special features. It's just bonus outcomes now. Which is kind of a shame, but I also understand why. So let's take a look at the Hexport Exchange as well.
Ooh, danger.
Yeah, danger, but it's an engineer action. So trade scrap. Trading scrap is all about identifying materials and cleaning up components. It's an engineer's job more than a trader's. Versus impress the brokers. Data brokers at the heart of the exchange. They show off their knowledge by discussing decryption. Maybe if you can talk the talk. So rules to the exchange. The exchange buzzes with conversation of commerce. This is a place where contracts are found. You just need to know where to look. Seeing as we have a limited amount of time, and none of these...
Wait, can you look at that one again?
This one?
Hexport connections is what it can level up. The Hexport docks thrum with life. There are contacts to be made here. You are sure of it.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's, do you want to ingratiate yourself with the exchange?
Well...
Or do you want to make connections?
If I put that in, 50 positive, 50 neutral. So we have 2 6s, which... I'm going to test something. I just want to take a look at this. Can I even do this? So because we have...
Engage skill missing.
Yeah, so because we don't have the engage skill at all...
you can't talk with people.
Yeah,
This is why I wanted to be an operator.
Oh, it's okay. I will buy you a copy of this game on the PlayStation so you can play it yourself and try a different route, see what it gets. It seems like there's more variety to this one already. The previous game, you could pretty much see and do everything in one go, as long as you didn't, like, miss something or make a bad choice. This one seems like it's a little bit more, I don't want to say limited, restricted, so that you're not going to be able to do certain things, period.
To me, it feels like, you know how there are tabletop RPGs where if your character starts off with a negative stat in something, you can just level yourself out of it. This is something where they explicitly...
There's at least one you cannot.
Yeah.
Which I like. I do like the fact that that holds me back in some permanent and lasting way. So my personal preference, at least at the moment, is just to trade scrap.
Play your strengths.
Well, play my strengths. My main thing is this might give me 2 progress on this clock if I get a positive outcome.
Is it wrong to use the clock?
No, we want to.
We want to use a clock.
Yeah, because we can get contracts here. So I'm going to do 1 6 in here just to see what we get.
Positive.
And we get 2 progress. Clocks track your progress towards both positive and negative events and can be filled by performing actions. Okay. So the one other thing I could do is actually try and throw this in here.
Well, what do we need for the rig?
Yeah, can I actually check the rig while we're here? So the rig, Seraphim. Oh. Are these its stats? Oh, that's interesting. So Seraphim is actually good at the 2 stats we're not good at.
Oh.
They're actually good at enduring and engaging. Which is kind of funny. So that, I guess, works out for me.
Oh, that's Seraphim.
Yeah, so I wonder if eventually we get crew... remember how there was that thing about crew dice? Mm-hmm. So I wonder if we actually get crew dice later on that will let me apply their skills as well. So that could be handy.
Where crew members will be able to perform actions.
Yeah. Ooh, Hexport Trade Hall.
That's new.
Yep. So we can buy and sell stuff. Buy fuel, buy supplies, fill supplies.
Now, did we need to get fuel and other resources in order to leave to put more ground between us and Lane?
Presumably, yes. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming we have time.
I suppose I shouldn't say ground. I should say space.
Yeah, but so as
space.
this fills up, Lane will be closing the gap. So currently we have 0 fuel, 2 supplies. So I think what I do is I'm going to throw the 4 in here and see if we get a positive event. It's a 50-50.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
Well,
neutral.
Neutral income, so we still get rules of the exchange. Mm-hmm. We just lost some money on it. So brokers seem a little bit more comfortable around you. Okay, new location is discovered, so we now have access to the Hexport Canteen. Eat in exchange for cryo. Eating gives you energy and stops you from starving. Different foods give different amounts of energy. So currently I think this is our energy bar at the bottom, and presumably we lose 2 of those per cycle. Unfortunately, we no longer can work the exchange, so we're kind of limited on that. Yeah, the reason why I wanted to use the 4 there is because now I have a 6 that I can dump into, like, explore the docks. Which, because our intuition is a +0, a 6 is still a 100% positive outcome. Mm-hmm. So I can just throw this in here and we'll just explore. Okay, notice a pattern. Start to identify signage and glyphs. The logic of Hexport unfolds.
Oh, there's another thing. Another canteen?
Yeah, the bends. So, play Star and Stoker. S&S is a space gambling game played with custom magnetic dice. Chits are stashed in simple marked cans, and winning is ruthlessly luck-based.
Now, when they say played with custom magnetic dice, is it one of those things where you can put little sides onto the dice?
Probably. So the one problem is we have these 2 1s that we can't really use for much.
Yeah, you don't want to risk anything. Ooh, 50% neutral, 50% negative.
Yeah, and I don't know how to focus a die yet. We haven't seen what that gets me. So we do actually have some things here. We have the rig galley. I can make a meal using supplies. Or I can rest and recover. So this is safe. Mm-hmm. Reduce stress when not on a contract. I'm going to try it. I don't see what our stress meter looks like. I don't think we have any. Recovery failed.
Oh.
I think it's because... Okay, rest doesn't come. Anxiety eats away at the time. Nothing seems to dispel it. I think it's because we don't have the ability to do anything with our stress at the moment anyway.
Anything we can buy? Because I would hope that we would get fuel.
So we can buy fuel. Fuel is not actually that expensive. The only reason why I don't want to do that yet is just because we don't need to. How much is the canteen? 13. So I'm pretty sure this is going to feed us for 2, and the 13 is going to feed us for 3 or even 4. I definitely don't want to do gambling. Mm-hmm. And yeah, danger and risky, so I don't really want to touch either of those. So I think I'm just going to try and rest again. Even if it does nothing, there's nothing else I can use these 1s on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another failure.
Used all your dice, need to end the cycle. So end cycle at the rig to re-roll them. Oh, we only lost 1 food. We're in trouble, Sleeper.
Seraphin leans into the bunks as you're getting up. Without further explanation, he disappears down the corridor toward the rear of the ship. You drift out into the passage, pulling on your clothes, and glide down the length of the rig, the cool air making you shiver. Seraphin is a silhouette silently leading the way. He stops at the far end, diverting through a side door, shooting you a glance as he does. You find Seraphin inside, holding one of a tangle of arm-thick tubes that are waving in the zero-G engine room.
You know what these are? No, tell me. These are the engine's feed lines.
He waves one in the air.
And before you ask, no, they aren't supposed to be waggling loose.
What happened?
These must have broken loose when we pushed the ship hard on our way out of Darkside.
He looks at the mess.
We're lucky the reserve tank is empty. Otherwise,
He shakes his head.
it would have been bad. But
He pushes the pipe to the side.
no feed from the reserve tank means that only the rig's range is limited to the local region only.
He thumps the large lumpen housing. Lumpen housing of the engine.
This thing can't take us anywhere far. So we fix it?
Seraphin sighs.
That's the short of it.
Seraphin whacks the engine housing again, harder this time.
It's not been our run of luck.
He turns and starts gathering the tangled feed lines, his frustration evident in the violence of his movements.
We'll need a new set of these, that's for sure.
He starts forcing them into a crate.
So how about you try and track him down? I'll take a look at things here and see if I can figure out another fix for our reserve tank.
He glances up from his work.
From what I've heard on Hexport, Factory Row is the place to find ship fitters. Maybe we can do some recon while I sort this place out. It's on the other end of the station.
Okay.
I'll take a look.
Seraphin keeps working.
Wait,
Seraphin pauses, seemingly unsure.
there's something else.
He drops the feed lines and they float, waving in the air like tubular seaweed.
I've heard word that Lane's on the hunt.
He frowns.
A message went out everywhere in the local radius of Darkside. He's looking for us.
Ooh.
And we can't leave. Exactly.
Seraphin sighs.
Which is why we need those feed lines. I'm gonna try and work something out. Maybe I can improvise a solution. I don't know.
He looks down.
I'm no ship fitter. But while I do, you go hunting. See what you can turn up, okay?
He smiles a weak smile.
Get going.
You leave the engine room, the clanking sound of Seraphin's cleanup efforts echoing throughout the ship. Fuel feed lines. That's the next step. You take a deep breath and head out.
Okay. You discovered a drive. Drives help you track and choose your objectives in Citizen Sleeper 2. The arrow button on the top left opens the drive menu where you can choose which drive to track. Once a drive is tracked, a yellow marker will be placed above any location that relates to that drive. Drives can come in two types, major and minor. On completion, a major drive rewards 2 upgrade points and a minor rewards 1. Keep an eye on the drive menu as you progress to see what new opportunities and objectives are available. Track those that you want to pursue. Okay, so we have a new location, Factory Row. So we can search the row or haul materials. Well, we definitely can't haul. The factory owners of the row speak mostly in terms of supply and demand, but going through the door might help you find this ship fitter you need. Okay, that's only 4. We've got 2 5s, a 6, or 2 5s, a 6, a 4, and a 1.
Now, the hall was indoor, correct?
Yeah.
But it's a little dangerous.
Yeah, but if I put this in, yeah, we're still bad, because we also don't have the endure skill.
Ah, you don't need... Okay, I see.
Yeah, we will never get the engage skill, but at least we can get endure. Unless something gives us exchange as a... or engage as a, as an action. So this is halfway done.
So it's explore the docks or chat?
Yeah. So searching the row... I'm going to do one search of the row, and we'll see what happens.
Well, we do need to find a ship fitter.
Yeah, well, that's here.
Precisely.
Okay, +2 on trusted suppliers, so I'll put one more of these in. 50-50. There we go. Positive outcome.
So a little bit more trust with the factories.
Factory Row howls as you glide through its cramped passages. Oh, right, this is you.
I mean, either one. It depends on if you want to read, but whatever its many bays And rooms once were, they now serve as containers for industry of every kind. Whirring manufactories precisely engineer components with rapidly shifting arms while scrappers hammer incessantly at bent ship plates. Everywhere you look is an energy and activity, for good reason. Hexport itself is built on the derelict fragments of a solar reflector, and even the small amount of energy generated by its remaining mirrors is enough to power a city of machines. It is familiar to you, of course, in a strange, far-off way, because of Darkside. That place and your memories of it are muddy haze, but it is hard to forget the glint of its hexagonal reflectors, 10 or 20 times more in number than Hexport's, and that wild, flickering city growing on their backs like a tumor. In comparison, Hexport feels provincial, but deep in Factory Row, you could almost be back on Darkside. And then you see them, tubes just like those Seraphim had waved in your face, the feed lines. You push over to the display window of the unit. I keep forgetting that they're in 0G constantly in this.
Yep.
I think in the last game, they could actually walk and such.
It's because they were on a ring station.
Yes, ring stations would have artificial gravity. So, yep. Okay, you push over to the display window of the unit, marked Karsten's Supply, and block capitals cut from the hull plate. There amongst an angled shelf of oversized ship components sit the feed lines like some large biomechanical tangle of snakes. You slip inside, where the sound of Factory Row is little screened, and spot a large figure working at a bench, hunched over, concentrating. It seems he doesn't notice you enter.
Let's be patient.
Okay. So this is Karsten, intimidating shipfitter. You let him work, watching as, despite his heavy build, he delicately aligns the components, their layers slotting like puzzle pieces. After a few moments of observing the process, he turns his head a little towards you.
Can I help you?
His accent is heavy, but unknown to you.
Those feed lines, how much?
There's a sharp clink as Karsten places his tools and the component against a magnetic plate in the hull. Or on the wall. Okay, let's have a look at him. Is he missing part of a finger?
Yep.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Am I hearing an alarm, or is this something in the game?
No, that's outside.
Really? Yeah, where we live has those classic 1950s, ducking cover under your school, what was it? Like, the 1950s, where they had people huddling under desks in case there was a nuclear attack. But, they like to sound it off every once in a while. Unfortunately, I'm just hearing ghostly echoes of it.
I think they stopped, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. There might be something in the game, too. There seems to be this din of
Machine.
people.
I mean, it's Factory Row.
Mm-hmm. He turns with surprising grace and begins cleaning his hands on a cloth. Those sharp eyes scan you, but Carson's thickest features do not betray the results of his assessment.
Thick set.
Oh, thick set as opposed to thickest. Sorry. His thickest features would probably be what? His shoulders or his biceps?
Yep. No, I actually think that siren is actually in the game.
Yeah, it is in the game. It sounds almost exactly like the thing we have in town. Okay. But
Custom built those for a client that never collected.
he looks at his hands while he speaks, checking for stray oil stains.
You have one of those old MEVs then.
He sounds out the letters in a way that you don't recognize as he speaks. What kind of accent would have a different way of pronouncing MEV?
MAV?
MEV?
Yeah, I don't know.
You try to recall anything you know about your ship, but the memories elude you. Perhaps Seraphim should have come along.
I think so.
Karsten squints a little.
Right. Look,
Karsten drifts over to where you are standing, his imposing height evident.
for a fellow enthusiast like you,
He continues in distinctive monotone.
I'd say a few hundred cryo. On clean shits.
He shoots a glance at the feed lines.
400, let's say, to be precise. 400. 400.
Karsten says back, repeating your question without the emphasis.
It's expensive, I know. It's a shame, but it's what they're worth.
He screws up his mouth a little into something that might have been a smile.
However, I'm more of the bartering type anyway.
Okay.
Barter sounds good.
Karsten nods sagely.
There's a little favor I need a crew for, and, well, you look like you might be a good fit.
He tucks the cloth away in a pocket and clasps his hands.
I know an old Solheim wreck out there. Very old. Pre-collapse.
Ooh, a wreck.
It's tucked away in a dead zone, so no one has ever really cut it. Not only that, but Solheim derelicts have a habit of triggering nasty security protocols when approached by an unfamiliar ship, so it's been left well alone. But a salvager like you with an old Solheim rig, I bet it wouldn't even flinch if it saw you coming.
He smiles.
I have a special interest, a need for that old tech. All those Solheim ships had a data core, and while I don't care about accounting reports or material ledgers, or whatever they kept on the damn thing, I do care about the hardware. So, if I was to find you back here with that data core in your cargo hold, clean cut and complete, well then, I could see my way to doing straight barter for those feed lines.
Karsten pauses, sniffs the air again.
You just need the coordinates.
Is it really simple as that?
Simple as that? Simple as that.
He repeats, in his monotone way.
So, you interested?
He glances back at his workbench.
Because I'm a busy man. Sure. All right then.
He holds out a heavy hand for you to shake, and as you automatically reach out, he grabs your forearm instead. Karsten pulls you closer, squeezing your arm.
Let's keep this one between us, all right?
He half smiles, his face huge and close.
It's our deal.
Before you can respond, he thumbs a little drive into your palm.
Those coordinates.
And then, he lets go of your arm with what you swear is a wink. You take a moment to gather yourself, and by the time you do, a whirring fills the air, Karsten having returned to his workbench. You turn and glide out of Karsten's supply, with a growing mix of anxiety and excitement in the pit of your stomach and the cacophony of Factory Row in your ears. A contract. Seraphin might have been impressed. You look at the drive in your palm and smile. This could be a route out. You think of leaving the place behind. This place behind, in possession of an improved ship, too. Suddenly, a small but firm hand falls on your back, an equally small voice coming with it. Ooh, a small voice?
Mm-hmm.
But a small but firm hand. Hey, wait up! You turn in the passageway to see a young woman, her hair waving from the rapid glide she clearly just came out of to catch you. She steadies herself using her shoulder. Sorry. She smiles a quick and flat smile. Wanted to catch you. I'm Junie. Her dark eyes flick about nervously. You notice the portable terminal she carries, something data scrapers call a deck, and her backpack full of components and trailing wires.
What's up?
She's a secretive data extractor.
She might want whatever's on that core.
Oh. Or
What?
she might be a new recruitable...
Could be.
Maybe she wants to come along
I think we do get other crew members.
Yeah.
What's up?
Karsten, she starts, still catching her breath. He sent me to grab you. She smiles that flat smile again. Wants me to come with you on that job. Her eyes shoot down to the drive in the palm of your hand. She smiles again.
I think she's lying. Why didn't he tell me?
She glances back towards Karsten's. I guess he forgot? He does that sometimes. She looks sheepishly at you. He just grabbed me after you two were done talking, so... Karsten's always sending me on things like this. I guess he wants me to help you out. Keep an eye on things. She pauses. I can be pretty helpful. So, she looks around the passage. Should I meet you at your ship? And you can tell me when you're ready to go?
Super sus.
Yeah, she's really suspicious because I almost wonder... Okay, there's a couple possibilities with her.
She wants to rob us. She wants the data.
Yeah, because she might... So they say that she's a data extractor. She probably wants whatever data is on the ship. And obviously doesn't have a ship herself and probably doesn't want to have to brave it alone, considering all of its defenses.
Yeah.
So I think, but then again, like, I don't think she's working with Karsten.
No.
Otherwise, he would have mentioned her. But it's one of those things where she must know about the ship and know that Karsten is after it. I mean, the I'm not sure is not a definitive...
Yeah, I'll go with I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure.
She looks nervous. Sure. I mean, you aren't sure when you're leaving?
I'm not sure you're coming.
She pauses, thinking, I mean, Carson said I need to go. She glances back at the shop's direction. And he does get pretty mad when people don't do what he asks. She shrugs.
Let's see.
Okay. She glances around. Carson doesn't like waiting, but it's up to you. Junie pushes off and waves. Looking forward to working with you, she calls back as an afterthought.
What about the ship?
Oh, I'll find it, she calls back, and then disappears down the passage. You watch her go. Glad of the contract, but nervous too. Will Karsten keep up his side of the bargain if you deliver?
I don't know about this, Sleeper.
Seraphin looks nervously about the rig's windows as you finish explaining Karsten's deal, as well as Junie's offer to help.
If this job was easy, Karsten would have done it himself already. That means there's a catch.
He frowns at the stars.
And there's definitely something going on with this Junie girl.
He shakes his head.
What choice do we have?
I mean, she could be useful, though.
Yeah, also true. What if...
Seraphin narrows his eyes.
We could get the crowd together to buy the feed lines.
Oh, so just the 400?
Yeah. Is that even possible? I found a contract board at the exchange, further in station.
He gestures towards the hexport.
We take on a job, might get us some of the way towards buying those those feed lines. Plus, even if we don't want to take Karsten's job, a bit of money to get ourselves prepared wouldn't be a bad idea. Oh, even if we do want to take on Karsten's job, a bit of money wouldn't be a bad idea. Fill up on fuel, supplies. Be ready for whatever comes.
Do we have the time? Yeah.
Probably not, but without cryo or fuel and supplies, we aren't going anywhere.
Seraphin sighs.
Just take a look at the contract board and see what you think. While you're at it, you might want to see if you can scare up some freelance crew too.
Seraphin shrugs.
Many hands make light work and all that. Or we stop messing around, we take Karsten's job right now and get it done before he can think twice.
Seraphin yawns.
Seems like a whole set of bad options to me. Either way, I've still got work to do on the drive.
Seraphin nods a farewell, heading back to the engine room.
Let me know what you decide.
For a moment, you pause, letting the haze of plans and ideas settle in your mind. Suddenly, you curl up, pain shooting along your spine. You grit your teeth, your muscles lock tight. Your vision narrows as you squeeze your eyes shut. You feel a shift, as if some connection has broken. It's almost impossible to describe, like you are floating away from your body, dispersing, dissolving. There is nothing familiar in the pain, nothing to hold on to. You grit your teeth. And then another shift comes, and you're back in your body, trembling against the metal wall of the passage. The pain slowly fades, becoming a pulsing throb and then a residual flicker. You flex in 0G, stretching out the tension. There's a strange sensation of distance that persists beyond the pain, a disconnection between your body and yourself, a flickering numbness that refuses to recede. You wonder if the reboot has done something to your body, or if this is some new sensation that you'll have to live with indefinitely. It strikes you that you know so little about the body that houses you. It could be moments away from collapse, or it might persevere for countless cycles like this. You try to shake off the feeling, pushing your hands against each other until they feel like they're yours again. Time is only one thing you need, and right now, or the only thing you need, and right now, it feels like it's running out fast. You head for the airlock, You have work to do.
Okay, so let's take a look at our options because we got some new things now. So we have Swift Scrap Soul, material processing. So we can sell raw scrap. We can Scrapyard Shift, which probably makes me some money. And then there's also Data Diffusal Shift. So that's some easy way for us to make some money. Karsten Supply. Deliver a data core and buy the feed lines.
Oh, are those just the two options? Like the data core is from
Yep, from
the salvage mission, and then the 400 is from the...
Okay. So we also have some extra missions. Conway Signal. Station management have located a Conway signal. Concerned to see one so close and are looking for someone to disable the source. So that'll pay us 200 cryo if we go do it. So that's somewhere we go to on the map. I don't hate that, but I think we'd want to do it the next day. We're kind of low on dice.
Okay.
And we might also need fuel to go anywhere.
We definitely need fuel in order to do the Solheim rig.
What else do we have? Because it was find freelance crew. Yeah, fill supplies, fill fuel. So that's an option. Hexport Docks has something new. Maybe? Maybe not. It's halfway done. But I think I'll leave it for now. So I think what I'm going to start with is the Scrapyard Shift, because we get a +1 on it. It goes up to 100%. This is no clock, so it's pure just profit. Not great profit, though.
Only 12 cryo, though.
I mean, it's still money. The main thing is we just don't have anything else that we can really comfortably do at the moment.
Now, we don't have the option to go to the rig. Or the derelict.
I go map. Contracts are high-risk, high-reward jobs that you and your crew can take on. Contracts require preparation and care to succeed. You need enough fuel to travel to the contract. Gather as many supplies as you can afford to keep you and your crew going. Look for opportunities to recruit crew, temporarily or permanently, to help you on a contract. Consider which crew to take carefully. They have different skills and stress resistances. And who you choose can affect the story. Once you're ready, you can select the contract from that map. So we have this one. It's going to cost us 3 fuel.
3 fuel out of 5.
So Karsten's offering you a straight barter for feed lines. The feed lines you need if you bring him the data core from the derelict. Any scrap you pull is yours. So I can't go there yet. So we're going to need at least 3 fuel. And I'd probably want to have maximum supplies as well. And eventually we can get some more. I guess we might as well buy this contract. Because we should do both. So we go back to the map. So this one's only 2 away, and will get us 200. So this one's danger, this one's risky. So we'll probably want to do the Conway signal first.
And that will get us halfway to potentially just buying the lines.
Yep. I'm going to toss this in for one more scrapyard shift. Positive outcome. And then we've got a 1.
Do you want to rest?
Yeah, probably. Even if it doesn't give me anything. Oh, rig engine. Oh, okay.
Those are the lines that you need.
Yep. So I'll throw this in. I think the main problem is we haven't unlocked our stress action yet. At least not that I can tell. It's this one here. It's the push. But it hasn't let me do that yet.
Mm-hmm. You're going to need to eat soon.
Yep. Okay. So I wanted to go here, because this one's slightly more expensive. This might just get us 2 food.
Though, one thing I've noticed...
4.
Oh. Your energy hasn't reduced the number of dice you
Correct.
have.
So I think it might be stress can reduce our dice. Because I'm seeing pips up here. And so maybe the more stressed we are, the less we can accomplish.
It's more pips than there are dice, though.
Mm-hmm. Not happy about these dice at the moment.
Mm-hmm. A lot of low ones.
Yeah.
Though, are you sure you don't want to see what happens if you fulfill the one at the top?
You mean this one?
Or was it just opening the canteen that you already had?
So, exploring the docks will get us something else, this is probably where we can get our crew member. The only immediate problem is we didn't roll very high. 2 4s, 2 2s, and a 1 is kind of rough.
Yeah.
So this is a chance of a negative with danger, which I don't know what that does necessarily.
Well, either way, don't you need to buy fuel?
Correct. So I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna chuck my 4s in here, at least for the time being. This will give us 50-50 positive neutral, and give me some cash, which would let me potentially buy the fuel. I'm not comfortable with this though, because there's danger. Let me see. I've already bought that signal contract.
Are you sure the canteens wouldn't have opportunities to meet people?
Currently, no, because we can eat at the canteen. We can buy and sell stuff. So, let's fill up on fuel. And buy supplies.
Oh, that filled all of your fuel.
Yep. Yeah, that was a full fuel fill. But yeah, if I chuck this in, for example, yeah, 50% neutral negative. Rolling this low sucks.
It'd be nice to be able to re-roll your die.
I know. But we don't have the ability, like, we wouldn't have the ability to re-roll the die anyway.
Yeah. Not until a later junction.
I know this is pointless. Oh, minus stress. We actually got a neutral outcome from that one.
Though I don't know if we had any stress.
No, we don't have any stress. It's just literally nothing I could have done with it, frustratingly. Alright. Oh, we got a 5. Still bad rolls, but at least we have a 5. I can dump it in
those 1s
here.
and 2s are rough.
Yep. Got it. Export, export.
You have a good sense of this Hummingway station. Time to use that knowledge to your advantage.
So the docks thrown with life. There are contacts to be made. Oh yeah, we've already got that. Okay.
As you are gliding across the docking concourse, you hear a scuffle. The noise of raised voices cuts through the conversation drifting out of the dockside shops. Glancing down an alley, you see a huddle of figures shouting back and forth. You spot one man in the middle of the group, surrounded, pushing the others back as they grab at the bag slung over his shoulder. You don't like the way this looks, but then again, Seraphin told you to keep your head down.
Cause a distraction.
Okay.
Neutral.
Neutral. Check passed. You look around for something that could break up the fight and see a thick cooling pipe, running down the alley wall, You quickly try to understand the system and choose a valve to start spinning. As you do, the system begins to vent in sequence down the alley, violent jets randomly bursting into the air. There's a scramble in the alley, and you spot a figure who is being attacked drop down to the alley floor. Okay, so they see it. Then your vision instantly fills with pale liquid as a jet of coolant jumps out nearby, missing you, but sending you spinning in 0G. After a few moments, you manage to steady yourself. As you do, you see a clear alley, the assailants having fled, with one figure gliding towards you.
I suppose you think that was clever.
So they're a salvager captain. Sounds useful. The man gives you a severe look.
You like to break up fights you didn't start. Belt's gonna eat you up.
He shifts the large bags on his shoulder, weightless but unyielding in 0G.
I was helping. Oh.
Well, the man laughs.
Well.
He shakes his head.
Thanks, I guess.
He kicks off and drifts past you. You watch the man go, and then, after a moment, he stops and turns back. He rubs his forehead, and looking down as he does.
What's your deal, anyway?
He sighs.
Maybe you're new here, but Hexport is no place for do-gooders. I know what it's like. To get beat up.
The man shakes his head.
Hexport's got real rough. Look, let's not hang around, alright?
The man pats his chest.
I'm Femi.
He unshoulders one of the bags and pushes it towards you.
Make yourself useful. Let's head.
You get the strap of the bag over your shoulder and follow him through the docks, gliding past the concourse towards the connecting bridges. He cuts down a side passage, looking back to check if you are following. Then he stops at a docking bridge connecting to a dull green ship with yellow markings. You look out a viewing window at its odd catamaran-like shape, seemingly built from two separate hulls welded together.
Symbol crash,
he says, and you assume that's the ship's name. Oh, Nia. Femi, you bringing in strays? A young woman, brightly dressed and stretching as she glides, drifts to the passage. She glances at you. No offense.
Nia.
Femi shakes his head.
This one.
He squeezes your shoulder.
Help me fend off some Hexport scum while you were busy sunning yourself.
Nia raises an eyebrow. I'm sure you could handle them, big brother. Her glib response hides the flash of concern that passes across her face. You can't tell if Femi noticed. Nia turns to you. Thanks, she smiles sweetly. And I'm sorry for my brother. She shoots him a glance. Just in general.
Nia.
Femi murmurs.
Enough now.
He reaches over and takes the bag that you are carrying. Nia rolls her eyes at you, but stays silent.
Factory Row wouldn't take these.
Femi hefts the bags.
I'm gonna load them back up. Maybe we'll find a use for them.
He turns back to you.
Thanks for the assist, Sleeper.
He nods firmly.
Not what I expected.
He slaps the button for the bridge door and kicks off along the docking bridge on his way to the symbol crash. Nia looks at you with raised eyebrows. I hope my brother was joking. Or did you really help him?
I tried.
Thank you. She looks back at the ship. My brother needs help more than he admits.
What do you mean?
She tenses. I don't know if... She smiles a tight smile. I shouldn't have said anything. She pauses, thinking. I want to ask you something. She takes a deep breath, then gives you a direct look. What is she building up to? Are you looking for a crew? She looks away. Sorry to be direct, but you seem like, well, if you're on Hexport, maybe you're with a crew. She stops herself. I mean, maybe your crew needs crew, or maybe you're looking...
I am.
She struggles to hide her smile. Nia looks back at the ship, then at you. Look, I'll be honest, being on a crew with my brother is nice, but he is suffocating me. She frowns at her own bluntness. I'm not a kid anymore, you know? But he still sees me like one. She shrugs. I want to show him that I can handle myself. I need experience. I need to run some contracts. She gives you a determined look. What do you say?
I'll think about it.
I'm a good salvager, all right? You could use me, she smiles. I can spot things, find gaps, ways in. She folds her arms across her chest. I know what I'm doing. Femi taught me well. She glances back at the ship. Just consider it, all right? Let me prove myself. Suddenly, a shout comes from the ship, echoing down the passage. Femi. He makes both of you nervous. Nia looks in his direction. I should go. She pushes off towards the docking bridge. I'll be waiting. Nia gives you one last glance as she departs, then disappears into the docking bridge, leaving you alone in the passage.
New local crew, new location discovered, minor drive, and an upgrade point.
She's good at salvaging. Sounds like something that we could use on the Solheim.
Mm-hmm.
If we go to the ship.
Yep. So we also have an upgrade point, but I don't think I can spend it.
I don't know. I feel like they're really throwing characters at you. A salvager and a data extractor?
Yeah, so it might be a decent crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my abilities. Unfortunately, yeah, I can't afford anything. I wonder when I get the ability to actually push... Oh, I can push rolls now. Okay. I wonder how often I can push. Or, wait, what? It was there, and then it's gone. Okay. I want to try this. How do I push? Because there I clicked on it, and then poof?
Oh. Oh. I think it might be something to do with the menu.
Yeah, I think it just pops up and goes away.
So how do you recruit the two of them for the mission to the Solheim?
Is there a way for me to, like, save? No. I really wish there was some level of manual savage just so I can experiment without, like, full risk. It's fine.
Maybe you can only do so in safe mode.
Would be maybe nice. Okay. So we've got almost enough supplies. We've got some pretty garbo dice. I'm noticing that there's condition underneath each of these, so I wonder if...
The stress probably takes away their effectiveness?
Maybe. Okay, well, do we want to do the Conway signal real quick?
Concerned to see one so close and they're looking for someone to disable its source. Disable signal source. Now, can you only do one of these two things?
No,
Or
I think
you
I can do both of them. We got plenty of time. Because I think the main limitation is this. So as long as I'm not, like, goofing around too much. The main thing is I'm not going to be able to clear any of my drives because completed board contract and escape hexport, both of those are kind of limited.
Oh. Do you know what it is? Can you go up to that again?
This?
It says complete board contract. Does
Yeah.
that mean singular or double? Or like
Just
both
one.
of them?
So it's the Conway signal contract. Will give me a point. And that will maybe let me put a point into my focus, which maybe will actually let me use
Okay,
my
I just want to
push.
make sure that taking one won't
No.
completely block out.
No, I think the only thing
Solheim.
that's going to block us out is we lose access to hexport as soon as this is kind of filled in.
Mm-hmm.
Or we potentially lose or die.
I think that's a lose or die situation. You
Could
get
be.
captured by Lane.
The other thing is I'm not noticing a whole lot of clocks left on the station at the moment.
Right.
So we're kind of limited on what we can do, because Carson Supply just requires... Or there was two options here. Oh, buy feed lines or deliver the data core.
Right.
Yeah, so there are no clocks to progress, so the only things I can do at this moment is maybe get some more resources.
I feel like this isn't much of a decision. You're going to get 200, but
There might
unless
be another
every
contract.
single day you just kept selling stuff and working the exchange, I really feel like nothing will get you the 400.
Yeah, 400's a
time.
lot to accrue. At least we don't have to worry about the stabilizer anymore. But I'm going to go for the Conway signal first, because it's just risky.
Okay.
So we can't bring her along.
I think Junie only wants to accompany you to the Solheim.
Yeah. So bonus to intuition, which is good. We don't benefit from that. Couple of stress. Travel contract filled. Confirm crew. And 4 out of 5 supply should be more than enough for what we're doing. It's a drone.
Seraphin spots the signal source first, the light barely shimmering off its dark hull plating, a design trait that betrays its covert use. A flash catches your attention, and you see a rent in the hull, through which red light pulses.
Wounded.
Seraphin shakes his head.
Wish they'd finished the job. You've seen one before?
Seraphin looks back over his shoulder towards you.
We've seen one before, don't you?
He sighs.
Sorry, I know it's not your fault.
He looks at the drone.
Lane had us work on one in a Darkside Bay. Though it was barely a shell, disarmed and deactivated. He had us searching through its guts for salvage. Even that one gave me the creeps, and it had its core ripped out.
He pushes the ship closer.
This one's live.
Conway. Nara kisses her teeth. Ooh, what does that mean? Is it like,
Yeah.
what do you do with your kissing your teeth?
I don't know, I haven't heard that phrase before.
Oh, do you know what it is? It's when you pull your lips back. Notice how she goes Conway corporate scum.
Yeah.
So I think it's when you're dragging your lips tight over your teeth in a grimace.
I guess so.
Conway. Nia kisses her teeth. Corporate scum. You glance over at her and see the fire in her bright eyes. They don't even dare to come here and force us out themselves. It's all proxies and drones. She shakes her head. Typical corp-bred cowards.
Run into them before?
She glances at you. You might say that. She looks at the drone. You won't see me taking my eyes off that thing for a second. Seraphin carefully guides the ship closer. You watch the drone.
System's full of these things now, running missions for their operators. Rare to see one out in the belt, though. Maybe it got hit during a run-in with Senate Stat Mercs.
Ooh, I don't know if I've ever heard of Senate Stat.
Nope. Looks like it's drifting. Most of the system's blown out, but look, there.
He jabs a finger towards a red light on the far side of the drone.
It's still broadcasting, and maybe even receiving. Can it attack us? Unlikely.
Seraphin smiles.
Would have blasted us already if it could.
Comforting. Nia looks nervous. Seraphin brings you ever closer.
What I remember from the Darkside job is that the central core and the broadcast array need to be shut off to kill these things. Core will turn off local systems, and the broadcast array will sever the link with the Conway operators.
Seraphin swallows.
But you can bet those systems are protected.
Well, why don't we let him explain? Your attention is suddenly drawn by a shudder from the drone, like a tremor running along its length.
This thing is rigged to blow sleeper.
He frowns.
We go slow and careful. We don't touch anything we don't know about.
He turns back to Nia.
You hear that?
I got you. She looks sincere. Seraphin brings the rig to a stop, close enough for you to cross through open space to reach the drone's hull.
Let's suit up.
You head down to the airlock to prepare. As you get suited up, you think the corporate war taking place in the corporate war taking place in the inner system. The war that this drone was driven from. Okay. What are the corporate factions? We know of S and ARP.
Yep.
And there's the Senate Stat seems to be Mercs,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, Mercs.
Conway.
Yep.
That was another one.
Yeah, this is Conway.
Out there, on the shore of the conflict, the biggest danger is this flotsam and jetsam drifting in with the tides and orbits of the system might, one cycle, bring the war with it. For now, the belt is outside of its reach, but looking out at the red pulsing drone, that doesn't give you much comfort.
Welcome to your first contract. While on a contract, you'll be able to assign 2 dice for each crew member, as you would assign your own dice. Pay attention to the crew skills to use them effectively. On certain outcomes, crew will take crew stress. When their stress is full, you'll no longer be able to use them to perform actions. While on a contract, your energy bar will automatically be supplied for each cycle that you have available supplies. When your supplies are depleted, both you and your crew will take 1 stress per cycle. Oh. When contracts also have their own contract stress. Oof. Okay, so we've got...
She got some good rolls.
4 cycles. She's got good rolls, I got good rolls. Seraphin, not so much, though. So hull damage and access hatch. Let's take a look at these options. So we have an endure, we have an identify route.
Now, our goal with the contract was to stop the broadcast, correct?
Yeah, and I think we're also just trying to salvage the thing. Access hatch gives us reprogram hatch, which is interface, and then also release the hatch, which is engineer. So
I think you can only do one or the other effectively, correct?
Well, no,
or they both go towards
we can do
it?
both of them. It's just all of this one clock. And I think we want to stay away from negative results.
Now, is this a situation where you want control access, or what was the other one that the hull was offering?
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Hull damage. So create an opening or identify a route. So both of these give us broadcast access, and this gives us core access, control access. So we need both of these to shut it off entirely.
Okay.
So I'm probably going to dump all of my dice into this one. We're proficient, so we should have no trouble. Oh, this is where I can maybe push myself as well.
Okay, that served a quarter.
So gain some stress. As your stress increases, you'll have a higher chance of taking damage to your action dice every time you roll them. Ah.
Now, I noticed that on the side there was a green, a blue, and a yellow. What are those?
It's the colors, I think, of the characters. So I'm yellow, he's blue, she's green.
Okay, so it's just what they have access to.
Yep. Okay,
now,
neutral outcome.
Oh, so yeah, that one had 1 less tick.
Yep. So that is kind of a downer, but should be fine. I was just curious if it would let me. We can get a lot of positive outcomes here.
Okay.
Let's see.
You're going to be 1 short, aren't you? I knew it.
Yeah. you can use your push ability once per cycle to give you... Okay, so push only works while on a contract. Pushing accrues 1 stress, but will give you a key advantage on your chosen class. So that's still extremely useful because my push, if it succeeds, clears the stress that I use. So I can potentially use it either to actually clear extra stress that I've accrued over the course of a round, or I can get it so it boosts the die a bunch. I'm probably going to get it so it boosts the die twice, or maybe once, and then minus stress effect on neutral and positive outcomes, because that way it'll effectively just be a net neutral, so I can use it every single round. Let's go back here. Rig bunks.
Oh,
clock
you're not
is
going to use their die?
Cannot rest. Okay, so we're going to use hers. So she is good at intuition. Oh, and she's very good at this.
Yep.
So unfortunately, this is going to be a longer clock to get progress on. And I don't think I have anything I can do. And we're definitely not having him go elsewhere. All right, got a positive outcome. So I don't think we're going to use his dice. He just rolled way too bad. And yeah, I can't rest here. So the best thing...
What could you even use him on?
So he's good at... he's good at endure and engage.
Well, what is his 50-50?
He can specifically do create an opening, but he rolled so bad that I wouldn't bother.
Can you just hover over just to see what the negative outcome would be?
It won't tell me.
It won't tell you that.
It'll just tell me 50-50. So I think we just leave him. We rolled so well that we've almost cleared the access hatch.
But I thought we couldn't rest here.
No. So we can't use our dice to clear...
But you can use supplies.
Stress.
Right?
Supplies are days that we can spend in this location, if that makes sense. I think these are just things that have carried over for whatever reason. So yeah, we can't make meals either. So if I end cycle, supplies are going to tick down by 1. We will roll new dice for the next day and continue. See how it says supplies 3?
Now the drone stress is the rig to blow.
So you've taken damage to dice because of stress. When your dice are rolled at the start of the cycle, your stress dictates if you take damage or not. Higher stress means higher chance of damage. White markers above the stress bar tell you which numbers will be rolled. Each die has 3 health. When they break, they must be repaired to be used normally. So we can reduce stress at the bunk's location. So she didn't roll super duper hot, which is a little stinky. I'm going to do release the hatch just to see what we get access to.
Okay.
Because now we have control access.
You hear the bleeping immediately. Among the chambers and cables of the drone's interior, something has started counting down. Guys? Nia's voice comes hissing through the suit's comm channel. Does anyone else hear that? Because I'm getting nervous.
Shit.
Seraphine's voice joins her.
This is what I was worried about. Are we screwed?
Oh wait, were we supposed to turn off the signal before it started beeping like this? Seraphine dropped his voice to a whisper,
I can't
as
be
if
sure.
it might make a difference.
Well, I can't be sure. Then whisper. Either this thing's about to send out a distress call, or it's about to blow.
Ooh.
We gotta shut this system down fast.
He pauses.
Then we move on to the other side, because I bet you there's a surprise waiting for us there too.
We good? Nia sounds tense. Am I heading back to the ship, or what? Seraphine cuts in.
We're good. We keep going.
He shuts off the channel. You take a moment in the silence. All right. Time to deal with this fast. Then get over to the other side before something happens.
Okay, so we have 3 cycle intuition.
Ooh, drone death. Disable the core, shut down the broadcast array. Once both are done, this Conway drone won't bother anyone anymore.
So this is why I have a 100% positive on this.
Oh, core disabling.
Yep. So, cycle clock, this will go up a little bit. Drone death. Disable the core, shut down the broadcast array. So I'm going to push myself again. 3.
And you didn't want to use Seraphin or Nia's.
So, here's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's got a plus on this one. That puts it at 4. Same general outcome as my own. So he's got a -2.
Yeah,
is
that's
the
not
issue.
good.
So unfortunately, he's good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, working on broadcast access. And yeah, she's not very good at enduring.
Yeah, and you can only push your own dice, and you already used it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of this game is risk. What are you willing to risk? Yep. Positive.
Part of it is this didn't tick up over the course of the day.
Some stress, but it was neutral.
Yep, so we're good. So the main question is...
I think you should try it. I mean, what else can you do? If you wait, isn't that clock gonna tick down? Core
Okay.
disabled.
So, drone... I see.
Disable the core once both are done.
Oh, it's just done. So we don't have to worry about it anymore.
Okay, what's the other one? Oh, end cycle.
Yep.
Ooh, good rolls.
Good roll. Great rolls. Okay, because she's got the plus here, I'm going to throw that in. And that should give me... It's either 2 or 3. 2.
Needs one
Bees.
more.
Well... I'm going to throw that in because it's not a very good roll. Got it.
Okay.
Neutral outcome. And that means we've got some very good rolls to go into this one. So...
Ooh, okay, so it's still the drone death and drone countermeasure.
Yeah, so we're shutting down the array. It's an interface roll. Unfortunately, neither of these two are very good at this.
What about you?
I'm neutral, which means that I'm in a fine spot here.
Okay. Yeah. 50% positive and neutral is fine.
Yeah, because a neutral...
So you need to shut it down fast. I think you should read those little blurbs, by the way.
That's fair.
The thrumming, pulsing interior of the drone goes still for the first time since you boarded it. You look across at Seraphin and Nia and share a smile. You all exhale so loudly it can be heard over the suit's shared comm channel. The drone is dead. One less piece of Conway shit to worry about, Nia grins. We killed it.
Don't get too excited.
Seraphin cuts in.
It was looking pretty rough when we got here.
You make your way back out to the hull, the drone now faintly rolling in one direction, its stabilizers offline. Nia catches up with you as you glide towards the rig. We made a pretty good crew, Sleeper. Or make. Yeah.
We do?
Nia grins widely. She punches you in the arm playfully. You reach the rig's airlock and take one last look at the drone's dark hull. It catches the light as it rolls in the vacuum. At some point, in the near future, this drone will likely be smashed to pieces by one of the many asteroids at the belt. Spread across this place as twinkling dust. The thought pleases you. As does the thought of all that cryo Hexport now owes you. Time to go collect.
Kind of a shame we can't, loot the thing. I almost feel like there should have been a secondary roll of just hey, what kind of loot can you get? Okay, contract concluded. Minus stress during travel. Cool.
After docking at Hexport, Seraphin lets go of the controls and leans back in his chair. Nia leans over to you. Thank you, Sleeper. She stretches. I know you took a chance on me.
Good to have you.
Nia smiles an infectious smile.
Feels good to make a contract work.
Seraphin smiles.
No matter how we pull it off.
It's hard not to agree, and it feels better when Hexport Courier comes with a lockbox full of chits. Lane may still be hunting you, but this should help the effort to slip his net. Suddenly, you hear a familiar voice.
Nia!
Femi glides into view, approaching from the docks. He fixes you with a stare.
What are you playing at, Sleeper? Nia wanted to come.
Yeah. You go to speak, but Nia drifts forward, cutting you off. Well, she wants to be assertive and to prove that she can be independent. Don't come throwing your weight around, Femi. I can make my own decisions. She glances back at you. Sleeper took me at my word, and I'm grateful. Femi is fuming.
Did they now?
He turns to you.
Well, if you're working for a Sleeper, I hope they paid you well.
Nia looks away. Well, I asked, so...
Oh, so they aren't paying you.
Seraphin crosses his arms.
Let's keep this civil.
You realize this is the first time he's meeting Femi.
If we are being civil, it seems Nia's owed her share.
Femi fixes you with a severe look.
Pay Nia a share.
You grab around a quarter of the chits from the lockbox and hold them out to Nia. She takes them sheepishly.
All right, then.
Femi smiles.
We're good here.
He turns to leave. Nia mouths a sorry, and then follows Femi across the docks. The Seraphin watches them go.
You sure know how to pick 'em, Sleeper?
He shakes his head. He turns away and heads back along the docking bridge.
I just hope we aren't going to end up a stack of cryos short when we need to get out of here.
It's why you're going to go and take the risky job on the other ship. Because I don't think anything is going to be able to pay up enough.
Mm-hmm.
Karsten's deal seems too good to be true.
Let's see.
So, do you want to upgrade any of your skills? Well, we
So
can't
this
upgrade
requires
skill.
4 points, which is the tricky bit.
So what would you rather focus?
So I think I'd rather boost the focus for now, just because we are going to be using it a bunch.
Well, also, what's +1 to affected die?
So focus is, I take 1 stress to add 2 to whatever my lowest current die is.
So you can inflate the number of one of your die.
So this could take a 2 to a 4 or a 1 to a 3. If I boost this, it takes a 2 to a 5 and a 1 to a 4, which seems really good.
Yeah, it does seem really good.
Like, in my opinion, I kind of want to just do this and then this and then this. Because I don't know what glitches do, and that spooks me. This would let me clear stress more, but I like the idea of just doing these two so I can take whatever my lowest roll and make it a really good roll that also costs me no extra stress.
Yeah, I find that combination will work for you in the long run.
I'm curious to see how it works on some of the other characters, but we will see. Okay, so I've got a ton of die. Ooh, so the one thing is, going out on that job did cost us a lot of time.
It costs you time. So I think that you're going to literally have to go on the next mission and then hightail it out of here.
Probably. Or at least then just kick around for a little bit. So one thing is going
you have a
out
ton of money.
Yeah. So also going on that contract cleared all of my die, that it takes a cycle to get there, or it's effectively a new day. So I've got a decent amount of money. So I think the main thing would be...
Get supplies and get fuel, right?
Yep. Fill fuel. Fill supplies, because that gives me as much time as I need. Let's see, what else do we have? So that's just freight loading. We don't care. That's food, but we're not hungry, because we weren't wasting any of it while we were kicking around. We haven't found any raw scrap yet, so I don't know how to sell that. So the main thing we want to do is probably burn a couple of our dice just to make some money before we leave on the next contract. However, this video is also starting to get kind of long.
Oh, but I wanted to go to the Solheim.
I know.
Can we at least see it?
We can get there. I think that'll be a good stopping point. Oop, lost some energy for a neutral outcome. I don't think I want to do another one. And what else do we have?
Because I would have hoped that we could have ended after the derelict and leaving the station, but that might be too long.
Yeah, I think that's going to be too long.
Unless you go really fast.
No. Screw it. Let's see what happens. That's good enough. Okay. Let's see. So let's go back to the rig. Or not the rig. We want to go back to the map. And we want to go to the Solheim HS-22. Rusting hulk of a pre-collapsed ship. Rusting?
How is it rusting?
Don't know.
There's no oxidation going on in space.
So it doesn't look like we can bring her with Nia with this time, but that's fine. And yeah, we'll bring her along because I guess we do need it. I wonder what the maximum amount of crew we can have. Because the UI seemed to kind of imply that there's only 3, because there's here, here, and then here. I don't know.
Ooh. All right. The Solheim derelict fills the cockpit windows, all twisted plates and skeletal strutwork. You watched it in horror and fascination as Seraphin completed the approach, both of you silent in the presence of this decaying beast. Now, as you settle beside it, Seraphin is the first to break the silence.
The thing's already dead.
He shakes his head.
It's a corpse sleeper.
He nudges the ship closer, looking for a place to dock.
I touched this thing too hard, it'll crumble to dust. What were you expecting?
Yeah.
I was expecting...
Seraphin squints as he adjusts the rig's thrust.
A scrap contract, like you said, not a death trap.
Take us up there. That's the bridge. Junie points towards the end of the ship, and both you and Seraphin turn around, having forgotten she was even in the cockpit. She hasn't said a word since you departed. She glances at both of your bemused faces. What? She looks away. Sorry. That's where we need to go. She stops pointing. Seraphin nods towards Junie.
She's not wrong, Sleeper. A bridge would be a good start.
So,
let's assess the wreck first. Just because.
Okay.
Assess the wreck first.
Junie settles silently back into her seat. She looks away, out of the cockpit, and you're unsure if she is upset or just embarrassed. Oh, I think this is a kind of diverging point. Carefully, Seraphin brings the ship close to the derelict and guides it along the hull. The rig's light ripples over the broken surface, finding gaps and cracks everywhere. It seems remarkable that the derelict is still held together.
Shit.
Seraphin hisses as a huge spinning piece of debris drifts in front of the cockpit. He pushes the rig down beneath it, squeezing between the debris and the hull. And as he does so, an ear-splitting screech signals the rig scraping along the derelict's skin. You freeze for a moment, waiting for the breach sirens to sound, but the moment passes and you relax. You glance at Seraphin. His face betrays no emotion.
This isn't safe.
Seraphin shakes his head.
I'm gonna find somewhere to settle our ship. Somewhere better to settle the ship. Well, then we need to suit up and work our way along the hull on foot.
You look back at Junie and see her still in her seat, her eyes wide.
You okay?
Junie looks at you, and there's a sudden unfamiliar hardness in her eyes that surprises you. Then, a moment later, it is gone, and her gaze softens. I'm okay. She smiles a flat smile. Don't worry. Seraphin brings the ship away from the derelict's hull, an inch at a time, then slowly brings it round, to settle close to a mostly intact hull plate.
This section is fairly free of debris.
He nudges the ship a little closer.
We should be good to hold here.
Seraphin unclips from his seat, and you and Junie follow suit. As you all glide down towards the airlock, Junie silently follows. You can't help but feel judged. You see, I think this is I wonder what would have happened if you had just decided to go for the cockpit.
I just wanted to assess the ship first. I didn't realize it would be either.
As you reach the airlock, Seraphin begins suiting up.
If we're lucky, that little collision hasn't started a cascade that will end with this place coming apart under our feet.
Seraphin violently kicks his legs into a set of EVA trousers, clearly irritated by his own carelessness.
It wasn't your fault.
Seraphin shoots you a look.
Fault isn't gonna matter when we're floating in the black.
This is a delicate job, Junie says quietly, almost to herself. The data core will be fragile. She casts a furtive glance to the direction of you and Seraphin. Very fragile.
Understood.
Junie nods appreciatively. The rest of the preparation process takes place in tense silence, each of you considering the delicate job ahead. You suit up too, though you don't need a helmet to breathe. You slide one on and lock the seals for protection. This wreck isn't going to give up its salvage easily. The core should be near the bridge, maybe even inside it, but there's a lot of wreck here. and there might be good salvage tucked away in the cargo hold. Once the suits are on and the seals are checked, you cycle the lock and stare out at the vast expanse of the twisted hulk before you. Time to go to work.
All right, so we've got options. We've got the corroded airlock.
Oh, notice that the derelict has 2 stress already. And notice that there's exclamation points. Are those major events?
Yeah, so as I think whenever I fail, I will probably push this up. So because we had impacted, we had this. So, oops.
Oops.
Yeah. So what do we have? A lot of decent spots for me, kind of. Decent spots for him as well.
So where's the bridge and where's the...
I think the bridge is here, unfortunately. So yeah, I really wish I hadn't picked the assess the hull first. I just thought we'd look at that thing, not fly around it like a goofus. But, oh well, too late. Okay, positive and neutral. Neutral should be fine.
Oh, so you want bridge entry. Okay.
Okay, neutral outcome is just bridge entry. I can also push myself to push this up to a 5.
Okay.
Up to a 5, which then turns into a 6, which then clears my stress. But yeah, I figure I'd probably have this character or have my guy do bridge entry. Because that's the thing that we need, no matter what.
Yep.
Okay.
Almost there.
Almost there, but we're gonna have to wait. Because yeah, I can't. I could do that, but I really don't want a negative outcome here.
Well, right. That one negative outcome might bring you to an exclamation point.
Oh, we can force the lock. Forget being delicate. The clock is running. Okay, lock's open. Time to move in.
The bridge of the derelict lies silent. The pale beams of your suit lamp catch rows of terminals and clouds of glittering dust. Wires wave like seaweed, and the whole scene appears as if underwater. Chaotic, but still. Do people even know what it looks like underwater? Considering they've been in space? Junie glides past you, disturbing the dust and taking you by surprise as she does. She has been a stoic presence so far, but in this moment she seems drawn forward by some force of curiosity. You watch as she bats away debris and begins checking terminals.
Let her work.
Well, I am curious to see what she's up to, but she's already prying an access panel off one of the more intact-looking terminals, and as she does, puffs of rust color the vacuum around her red.
Let's just approach her.
Okay. She turns back to the terminal and finishes prying off the plate, then quickly she reaches inside, fishing around for something. Her hand comes back out with a waving cable topped with a thick connector. As soon as she sees it, she slips a keyboard-sized deck out from somewhere on her person. She runs her hand across the back until she finds the right port and slots in the connector. All of this happens in a few seconds, the routine practiced and precise. It is hard not to be impressed.
Not your first Solheim ship?
She glances at you, a nervous look on her face. Does she think you are accusing her of something? She shakes her head and goes back to work. Junie's fingers dance across the deck's keyboard, and a burst of static lights up the Solheim terminal screen. The sudden burst of light and color takes you by surprise. Junie's fingers tap away the terminal screen, flashing with blocks of color and lines of code. It buzzes and vibrates, its long-dead systems forced back into chaotic life. Then, all at once, it goes dark. The terminal is dead. Ah, shit, Junie hisses beneath her breath. Useless! You cannot tell if the insult is directed at the terminal or at herself.
Find anything?
She looks up at you, as if she was just waking up from a dream. No, she pauses. Nothing useful. She protectively slides her deck away. The cradle with the data core can't be far. She pushes off from the terminal, gliding away from you. I'll start looking, she calls back, and heads to the other side of the bridge. Seraphim glides up beside you.
Everything all right? What do you think of Junie? The kid?
Seraphim shrugs.
You'd know better than me. Keeps to herself.
He squints at her retreating form. Seraphim stretches in his suit.
I have to admit, it's nice to be back working, especially now that we're the ones who reap the benefits.
He claps you on the shoulder.
Feels good to be taking our fate in our own hands. I know it's pretty rough. There back on Hexport. And out here, we're just as likely to get shredded by debris as find the damn data core. But aren't you glad we made a break for it?
He pauses and looks down, having asked the question almost by accident.
I mean, I am. I just don't want to speak for you. I'm glad too.
Seraphim smiles.
You better be. I didn't give up that little dark side cupboard I was living in for nothing.
He laughs at his own joke.
Look.
Seraphim checks his suit's wrist seals.
Once we got a bit of space behind us, once we've gone the distance, if we even managed to get out that far.
He furrows his brow.
Don't feel you owe me. I'm no charity case. You want us to go our separate ways? Fine by me.
He meets your eyes.
Just do me the favor of telling me to my face. That won't happen. He is literally the stats that I do not have.
Seraphim nods, but doesn't respond. After a moment, he shines his torch out into the dark, checking the rows of terminals all across the bridge. You watch the glittering dust as it eddies on the beam, or in the beam. Seraphim sighs.
Let's get to it.
You watch as he crosses the bridge, his torch probing the dark corners. You feel a chill run through your body as you imagine the people that once ran this ship. The Solheim crew, surely long dead. Wouldn't there be corpses somewhere, considering?
Maybe.
Unless they were all vacuumed out into space and just were far flung because of the force of the exit.
Or they took escape pods out.
Eh? Oh, well, the other thing, too, is didn't the collapse occur 50 years ago?
We don't know. It was like 2030 in the first game, and we don't know how much further this is in the future.
Okay. So I don't know if it's the long dead, as in, yeah, the ship was so badly damaged everyone probably is dead, or this war happened a long time ago and people are just probably dead because of old age. But what was it like here before the collapse, when this system was the jewel in Solheim's crown? It's impossible to know. That history is lost to you now. All you can do is pick what you can from the ruins.
Okay, so we now have derelict bridge. So track the pathways and reboot the system. So, I mean, she's good at this.
Reboot the system rather than hunting old Okay. Strong pulse comes through from deep inside the derelict. That must be the core, but its location is vague and needs triangulating.
And then he can do this. Positive, neutral. Should be fine.
Ooh, a little bit of stress. Neutral.
Yeah. That's fine. You can take it.
But it's his stress as opposed to the ship's stress.
Yes. And so, I don't think at this point we really want to do much. So, I think
Your
we rest.
3 isn't good for anything?
No. Because neither of these are things that my character is good at. So, like, this would be a 25, 50, 25. I don't know. I'd rather play it safe.
I suppose it's 75%, but yeah, the next stress would it be your stress or would it be the ship's stress?
The ship stress.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to leave us here as much as we want to see the outcome of this. Ooh, those are some good rolls,
But those
too.
are all good rolls.
Fine. Screw it. This is going to be
Look at how many 6s and 5s you have.
Slave driver. Game too good. Can't stop playing.
Because look, you're already 2/3 of the way there.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to look at this. Because we want to get into the cargo doors. Oh, this is also much easier.
Yeah, you got 3.
Yep.
Right off the bat. A little bit negative.
We go in here. I'm just gonna... Oh, right.
Ooh.
My character's bad at endure.
What about the intuit?
Oh, yeah. My character is at least neutral on that one. All we need is a neutral outcome, and we'll get the access point.
There you go. Cargo entry.
Okay, so map the bays, interface, and... Oh, so it's really good for her. So we'll leave that for the next round. I've still got some decent rolls that I can do here.
Yep. Yeah, because you're almost done with the data core location.
Yep. Got it.
Data core.
And it's an engineering one, so I'm
but
going to
look
push
at that.
myself.
Data core extraction and data core damage.
Yeah, so
that's the negative effect and that's the positive effect. So I assume with every failure, you put the other one up?
Yep. Okay, so it doesn't look like I can do too much there, but that's fine. And he's got a 4.
A 4 is pretty good.
Oh, but that's an interface. So we actually don't have anything to spend that 4 on.
Really?
Doesn't look like it, because that's an interface, that's an engineer. So, unfortunately, Seraphine is not going to be too helpful here. And that's okay. Still some pretty good rolls. Not so much for Junie. But that's okay. I don't think we need her in this situation. We kind of do.
Slicing the core. The potential for damage is high. I see.
I might take some stress here, but... neutral outcome. Ooh.
Oh, data core damage. Oh, no.
I think we can take it at this point. Got it.
Good. Data core has been extracted. You watch nervously as Junie guides the core out of the cradle. A large ball, almost half your height in diameter. It glides up out of the framework that held it, connections waving loose and cut. Her breathing comes through the suit's comms, loud enough to be picked up, and it fills you with a tense energy as you watch. Over the course of this job, you've seen Junie both focused and distracted, nervous and precise, but you have not seen her any more confident than in this moment now. She floats beside the data core, handling it with care and skill, as if it was the vast egg of some endangered bird. She glances up and sees you watching her, and you notice something unfamiliar in her eyes, something that you have perhaps seen in a passing moment before. Only now, it is no momentary lapse or change. It is set in place. You see determination. Kind of like a possessive determination, or what's going to happen?
I think she wants data on it.
She guides the core a little away from you with one hand. At the same time, comes forward, almost placing herself between you and her prize. See, I knew it. She definitely wants it. Okay. But what were you bringing back for Karsten?
Just the core itself. He doesn't want the data on it.
Okay. We need to talk. The statement comes flat and deadpan. Any nervous tremble gone. Right now.
Okay.
Sleeper. She takes a deep breath. I want to be honest with you. But I need to know that you won't take this from me. Junie glances around the cradle defensively, but Seraphine is already heading back to the ship to prepare the cargo bay for the core storage. You two are alone.
Tell me and we'll see.
Sure. Fine. She folds her arms. But it's staying with me. Wait, it? As in the whole core or the data? Oh. Karsten doesn't deserve this. This treasure, Sleeper. Junie glances over her shoulder at the core. Do you know how many of these are left intact? She shakes her head. And all he wants to do is wipe it clean so that he can use it to interface with Hexport. All that data, gone.
So what do you want?
I want to extract the data, to make use of it. You see some genuine emotion flicker in her eyes. She sighs. After extracting the data, the core will be unusable. There's a security system that will fry it if the data duplication is attempted. I can delay the security response long enough to copy the data. But after that, she trails off.
You've done this before.
She looks down. Yes. She meets your eye. This is why I came. Look at this place, Sleeper. She gestures to the cradle room, a dark and twisted cavern of long-dead tech. How many of these places are left? How many chances do we have to recover anything this old, this fragile? Like it or not, we live in Solheim's shadow. in their ruins. And yet we know almost nothing. What chance do we have of understanding how we got here when others like them, like Sinitsat and Conway, are descending on this system?
What can we learn from the core?
I don't know, Sleeper. That is the point. She gestures around herself. We could learn our history and how this system was settled. We could better learn the technology we build our lives on. We could uncover Solheim's crimes and seek to make amends. She looks at you with pleading eyes. We could see beyond survival, towards something else. You have never heard Junie speak like this, and you realize that you've taken for nervousness was actually control. This, the person in front of you defending a decaying data core with their life, is the real Junie. But then you think of Lane, of the price he likely put on your and Seraphine's head, and of the feed lines, without which leaving Hexport will be almost impossible. Is this even a choice?
Explain about the feed lines.
Junie listens carefully as you tell her about the deal with Karsten, the feed lines he offered you, and that both you and Seraphine are on the run. Then I'll help you. Junie doesn't flinch. We find another way to get those feed lines. Karsten is an idiot. I can hack his security, and you can pull them out of there. Or... Seraphine looks tough. Maybe he can grab them. She looks desperate. We can do it. We can do something.
Probably middle or top?
Yeah. I think the don't you work for him is,
I think she's just going to be like, I lied.
Mm-hmm.
So why should I trust you?
Junie sighs. Let me be honest with you. I don't work for Karsten. He didn't send me. I might have misled you there. I knew he knew where the derelict was, and I heard your conversation. I've been keeping an eye on him. She pauses. I know I lied, but I can help you. Let me strip the data from the core, and I promise to help you get the feed lines. She meets your eyes with intensity. It's a lot of information to take in at once. You need a second to think.
Let's do it.
Yeah, as much as I don't like going back on the...
Deal? We can still buy the tubes from the guy.
Well, I don't know if we'll have enough time for that if we have to make the money legitimately, because we only have 151 right now. Unless we get some more stuff from the cargo bay on this ship and it happens to be enough.
We'll see.
But it's one of those things where everyone else wants to work within the system, and she wants to use the data to potentially help the people of the belt.
She seems interesting.
Go beyond.
So let's do it.
Okay. Thank you. Junie looks genuinely moved. This is a gift to all of us, Sleeper. I hope you'll see it like that. Junie turns to the data core, quickly gathering one of its loose connections. She takes out her deck and plugs it in, and then crosses her legs and places it across them, floating tethered beside the core. Her fingers begin tapping at the keyboard, teasing out the core's data and whatever Solheim secrets it might contain. As she does, Seraphine enters. He braces himself on the entryway.
What is she doing?
Junie doesn't seem to notice.
Emptying the data. She's doing what?
Seraphine jumps to attention, but you put a hand on his shoulder. He eyes you suspiciously.
I hope you know what you're doing, Sleeper.
He nods towards the core.
That's our ticket out of Hexport. Junie will help us, if you say so.
You both turn to watch Junie stripping the core of its secrets. A little while later, once the core has been emptied out and its defense mechanism has scorched its seams black, you watch the metallic sphere spinning gently in the room and wonder if you've just made a terrible mistake. Contract failed. Well, do you have anything to get there? Can Seraphine's 5 help?
It's going to be bumped down to a 3. We spend another day.
Okay.
Oof.
Bad rolls. Oh, through some careful triangulation, a 3D map of the layers the bay is built.
I think I'm just going to roll the dice a little bit.
Ooh.
I'm also noticing this doesn't have any of the structural integrity stuff.
Ah, okay. So what do we find?
Deep bays. Extra scrap. So this has some danger.
And this one can get stress on the ship.
Yep.
A crisis is triggered.
We'll add 1 contract stress per cycle unless resolved at the crisis location.
But the contract is already void, so...
Hull breach.
Do you need to seal it in order to get things... Oh.
Because this is going to tick up. So the main thing is, this is only worth 18.
The scrap?
Yeah.
So you don't want to scrap more?
No, I'm just going to...
You're going to do a bunch of dangerous... Ooh, yep.
Because I legitimately do not care what the outcome is. We are just
You're
snatching...
going to tear the ship apart.
Yep.
Yeah, don't do any more, though.
We can't.
Yep.
Yeah, purge protocol and fuel leak. But now we've got 5 raw scrap that I can use for things. Okay, and we leave. My main thought on that was mostly just, well, I'm not going to be able to get anything else.
As you arrived into Hexport, Junie speaks up from the back of the cockpit. We're going to have to act fast if we want to take those feed lines. You and Seraphin exchange glances. You're both still getting used to this new Junie.
We?
Seraphin raises an eyebrow.
Only one of us fried the core and stole all its data.
He shoots you a look.
And for some reason we let you. We can make this work. What I'm wondering, Sleeper, is why we have to.
Seraphin looks infuriated.
I don't think Karsten's going to take kindly to the idea that we brought someone pretending to work for him on the job and let her have his prize.
He scoffs. He points at Junie like she's an object.
Do you even know what she's up to?
Junie looks between the two of you. Hexport hasn't exactly been kind to me. You two trusted me, even though I didn't deserve it. I'm not used to that. I want to repay it. Not to mention that Carson is probably ripping you off. Even if you get enough cryo, what's to say that he won't raise the price? Trust me, he's no good. I was trying to deal with Karsten to get those derelict coordinates from the moment I arrived here, and he ran me in circles. She shakes her head. Seraphin's watching her closely.
Even if I do take you at your word, which, given everything, seems a little tough, how do we even do this?
He raises an eyebrow.
You're telling me we just drift in there and take the feed lines?
Look, I get it. You don't trust me, she pauses. But what if I have a vested interest in this working out? There's nothing left for me here, and I don't much feel like hanging around waiting for Carson to figure out my involvement in all this. I need safe passage. You need the feed lines to grant it. She allows herself a smile. See where I'm going with this? Seraphin sighs.
I don't like it.
He pauses.
But it makes sense. What do you think, Sleeper? We all get something.
Exactly, Junie smiles. Let me prepare. I'll head to Factory Row, scope the place out, meet me there, and we can work out a plan. She glances between the two of you. Trust me, we can find a way. We'll keep it simple, clean.
Simple's good. Let's get to it.
Okay then, Junie smiles. Trust me. This is going to work. I'll go scope out the bay. We need in Factory Row. We should split up. Less likely for Carson to suspect us. Meet me there in a few, and we can finish setting up. Junie unclips from her seat, floating. I want to show you that I can be trusted. That we can do this. She looks between the two of you. Believe that. Please. And with that, she slips away down the passage, towards the airlock and Hexport beyond. You look at Seraphin.
I'm saying nothing, Sleeper.
He unclips from his seat, too.
Either this is the kind of mess you have to go through to get to the other side, or it's the kind that you never escape. Either way, we're in it now.
He leaves the cockpit. You stare at the chaotic lights of Hexport and wonder if anything in the Starward Belt ever runs smoothly.
Okay. Yeah, so we only have 4 cycles left before we get caught. We have Junie's unit, Carson's supply. I think the big one is we go to the trade hall. Or not the trade hall.
Does the scrap work anything?
Yeah, scrap soul. So now that we have all of this, how much is this worth? 16 cryo. Yeah.
Not enough.
Definitely not to bridge the gap. Like, if I got insanely lucky, we could maybe buy it. But it would be tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I assume we have no more contracts? Yeah. And I'm not really expecting to.
You wouldn't have enough time for contracts at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so we can observe the target, or we can interface. Ouch. To steal the feed lines, you need to get into Carson's security systems and plan out an angle of attack. So hack or observe the target. Well, we're not very good at one of those. We're not very good at any of these. Shoot.
Positive or neutral? Too bad Junie couldn't help with this, considering it was her plan.
Yeah. Well.
Neutral. Ooh, 25% negative. Neutral.
Well, we're halfway. Severe waste of resources, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think this costs me energy. Let's see what happens when I get a negative.
Ooh, yep.
Actually, I mean, not terrible. Not what I'm looking for. But not great.
Yeah, you only have a few more days left.
I mean, all I need is 1 or 2 good rolls for the next day, and then we're golden. There we go. There's the 2 good rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I'm going to just throw the 4 in. Save that 6 for the next.
Yep.
Got it.
Cracked. The sound of fist on keyboard wakes you from the scrolling code on the terminal screen. You turn to see Junie, a rare half smile on her face as she floats cross-legged with her deck on her lap. The blue light of the snap-on screen makes her eyes glint with a glittering excitement. Got him! She shoots you a look. Carson's whole system is mine. You push away from your terminal to glide over to her screen. Running the mapping protocol now. I want to know about every little dusty corner of his network.
Is there much to map?
She squints at a screen. Weirdly, there is. It's coming up now. Seems Carson is pretty paranoid. This whole system is iced over with some serious security. She frowns. What are all these layers of? A red pulse flashes across her face, changing her features as it does. Oh, shit. Her fingers glance across the keyboard. Or dance. Something is closing the port. We need... Another red flash on her screen goes blank. Junie's fist hits the keyboard again, harder. We've been kicked out. She's rapidly shaking her head. There's no way a salvager's shop would have this kind of countermeasure. She looks troubled.
Maybe you peeked in the wrong corner.
She looks over at you. It seems so. I think our friend Karsten is involved in some nasty stuff. She rubs her forehead in thought. Wait! Her fingers fly across the keyboard, her screen flickering with commands. A complex code graph assembles on the screen. Oh, node graph. Assembles on the screen, a mess of interlocking connections. The mapping protocol did enough. She points at the screen. All the security systems are there. She indicates a dark section of broken connections. We didn't get what's here. but it seems like we found some kind of archive. Nothing we want.
I wonder what's there.
Junie shrugs. Some big data trawls, it looks like. Copies of old drives he found. Could just be a load of data left over from salvage shops that he thinks are worth something. She smiles. He's a meathead with no eye for data. So it's probably just a load of debug logs that he thinks are Solheim's secrets. She giggles at the idea. Junie pulls a thumbnail drive out of one of her many pockets and slots it into her deck. Time to train my cat.
Identify the program. See if we get it. Yay. Minus stress.
You watch the code spilling across... So does that mean you just know what a cat is?
I guess so.
You watch the code spilling across the screen and notice the addresses from the node map being marked and logged. As you watch, you see that the cat identifies weaknesses, marks nodes with multiple connections and fragile structures. It is making a plan of attack. Junie is going to blast Karsten's network apart with raw data. Junie sees the look of recognition in your eyes. And I thought I could show you something new. She looks impressed. I call it a Katzenjammer. Cat for short. Give it the map of a network and an entry port, and it'll flood the system with raw data and network noise. Any tech connected to that gets a killer headache. I built it to take the remnants of Solheim's security systems out of commission on old derelicts. She squints. I had one too many close calls.
What'll it do to Karsten's shop?
Pretty much fry anything on your map. Cameras, shutter controls, alarms. It'll be pure chaos. She plucks the thumbnail drive out of her deck and hands it over, the cat head sticker on it, catching the light as you turn it in your fingers. We've still lost access, of course. Junie turns back to her screen, bringing up another node and map. But there's an old Solheim port from the original facility just outside Karsten's. Slot the cat in there, and it should be able to find a back door.
What are we waiting for?
Nothing, but... She looks away. This isn't going to be quiet, she squints. His whole system is going to get data blasted. It's not a subtle hack. When you slot the cat, you get in, grab the feed lines, and run.
Sounds like one hell of a risk.
Seraphin's voice catches you both by surprise as he slips into the dark and empty unit. Well, Junie pauses, looking between the two of you. It's our best option. Seraphin narrows his eyes.
And where will you be when we run the gauntlet of scrambled security and make the grab?
Junie looks away. I can monitor how it goes down remotely. From here, or the ship. Seraphin gives you a look. Oh. You can tell he's finding it hard to trust Junie after everything.
Well, she can't go anywhere, so... So this is the question of whether or not she joins the crew.
She could steal the ship, though, which would be... Well, that would be endgame.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Could happen. Yeah, I mean, if we hit a dead end here, so be it.
You're just too goody two-shoes, too trusting.
I think the main question is, this might also determine who stays in our party, because Seraphin could split from us. We're too reckless. Maybe. I trust you, Junie.
She smiles a thin smile. Thanks. She starts to pack up her deck. But I'll find somewhere else to work from. Close to the ship, but out of your way. Junie shoulders her bag and glides to the door. When you're ready, slot the cat and go. By the time you're back at the ship, I'll be there. She glances down. Don't leave without me. She shoots Seraphin another look, and then slips out of the unit. Seraphin watches her go, then turns to you.
The whole of Hexport is going to hear about this.
He shakes his head.
We better be ready to go the moment you slot that thing. I'll be ready.
Seraphin nods silently.
I'll be at the ship repairing the engine. We need to be ready to fit the lines as fast as we possibly can.
He meets your eye.
Be careful. Don't stop for anyone or anything.
He puts a hand back on your shoulder.
And don't even think about looking back.
With that, he slips out of the unit, leaving you alone to consider what comes next.
Well...
Do you have enough money to buy fuel?
Yeah, I got a ton.
Because I think you might need fuel and supplies.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter what, I was going to make sure we have that. So we have 3 cycles left.
I think we need to leave. Make sure that we...
I'm thinking... let me take a look at Carson's supply. Yeah, so I think we spend at least one more cycle working. Just
Hopefully you
to accrue what
get
we can.
6s when you roll next.
I don't think that's worth it. I don't know if we're going to need it, is the main thing. Let's see. Can't lose stress. Can't really use too many of these is the main issue. I'm going to give it a shot. Ouch.
Ooh. What do you do for energy? Food?
Food. It's not that expensive, so it's kind of worth the risk. As long as it doesn't mess with my die, we don't have much to worry about. Oof.
Yeah.
Bad rolls. Alright. So in that case...
You're cutting it really close.
Well, I think I'm just going to do these, and then we just leave. The main thing is, we don't need dice for this.
Are you sure you don't need dice?
No, I think it's just going to be a skill check. Junie's cat will overwhelm Carson's security, but you don't know how long for. You better be ready to grab the feed lines and run the moment you slot it.
I just hope that grabbing the feed lines doesn't require a die.
No, don't think so.
You slide the worm in.
Mm-hmm.
Carson's place is locked up for the cycle. Shutters down, alarms on, and the denizens of the factory row snaking past with deliveries and working orders. You hold your position opposite the shop and take a deep breath, waiting for a sign that this is going to work. You look at the thumbnail drive, with its shimmering cat sticker, sticking out of the old Solheim access port. You imagine the flow of data as the Katzen jammer seeks for an entry point into Carson's system. You think of Junie, tucked away near the ship, watching you through the public networks. You think of Seraphin, deep in the engine room of the rig. Hurry the hell up, you think. Enough waiting. Then you hear it, a pulsating white noise, fluttering, then screaming out of Carson's shop. The shutter scissors up and down, the lights pulse, the alarm gurgles in confusion, and for a moment you are stunned into stillness. People stop in the street, and then turn to look as the shutter motors burn out as a cascade of sparks and acrid smoke. It's now or never.
Approach carefully.
Neutral outcome, but pass checked. You skirt around the people watching, using them as a perimeter. They're pointing and talking, some of them laughing while others look concerned. You confidently push past them and glide inside without looking back. It takes you a moment to gather yourself in the chaos of the shop. The wall-mounted screens scream out white noise, and the flickering lights make it hard to concentrate, but you keep your focus. You scramble over to the feed lines in the window, grabbing the bundle with both arms. They wave wildly in your grasp as you wrench them away and kick off from the counter, gliding back out into the passage. Your arcing glide takes you into the crowd. You steer yourself through a gap in the gathering bodies and kick off hard towards the port. The feed lines waving wildly, but you grip them hard to your chest and don't look back. Seraphin better be ready. Your arms ache from clutching the feed lines, but you don't loosen your grip until you see the entrance of the docking bridge. Who's the voice, you think?
I don't know.
Sleeper! You almost ignore the call until you realize you recognize the voice. Junie glides out to meet you, her hands on your shoulder, guiding you towards the bridge. I'm with you now. She shoots you a glance. What a show, huh? She laughs nervously.
Certainly loud.
She smiles a little. Wish I could have seen the cat in action. You both glide down to the docking bridge, Junie helping you with the trailing feed lines. From what you can tell, news of the chaos in Factory Row has not reached the port yet. You feel a flush of excitement as you enter the ship's airlock. This is it. You did it. You try to keep focused, but the elation makes your hands tremble. You take a sharp turn in the central passage of the ship and make your way to the engine room, the feed lines now unwieldy in the cramped space. Seraphin is waiting for you, shaking his head.
Looks like we're in business.
He lets out a sigh.
And on the run from 2 different people now.
He grabs the feed lines.
I'll take it from here.
He quickly begins the process of connecting the engine to the subsidiary fuel tank. You watch, catching your breath as he works.
How about you make yourself useful rather than just making me nervous?
Seraphin says without looking up from his work.
Go to the airlock and disconnect the bridge.
You and Junie glance at each other.
Both of you, now.
Seraphin calls out. The two of you turn and make your way to the passage, your nerves settling now. You arrive at the airlock and reach for the control panel. Then you see him. Oh. Karsten, coming up the docking bridge and fast.
Close it. Uh-oh. Negative outcome stress.
You hesitate, the control panel just out of reach. Oh, he slams into you with some force, sending you spinning into the metal wall behind. You jerk in pain as you hit it and lose your sense of direction. Carson's heavy hands grab your neck and wrench you towards his face.
Sneaky little shit. You think I didn't know who it was when I saw what was taken?
His breath was hot in your face.
I thought you sleepers were supposed to be smart.
Oh, is this the negative? Are you gonna die here?
No.
Before you can respond, he jerks back in pain, a thread of blood spiraling from his forehead. Junie swings again, the pipe catching him in the chest and sending him spinning towards the door. You watch, stunned, as she inputs the closure sequence with trembling hands, and the door hiss close. Doors hiss closed, obscuring Carson's floating body from view. She's breathing hard and doesn't look up. The pipe drifts from her hands, spinning gently in the air.
Thank you.
Junie looks back at you and opens her mouth as if to speak, her eyes wild. Seraphin rushes past, gliding up the passageway in the engine room.
Come on, get yourself strapped in.
You and Junie silently follow him, your head spinning, your thoughts racing. You slip into your seat as Seraphin punches in the departure sequence. The rig begins to pull away from Hexport, Seraphin's hands on the controls. You close your eyes and feel the force of the thrusters firing.
Man, this game is just, like, despite the fact that it's very similar to Citizen Sleeper 1, it is wildly different in its own ways.
Mm-hmm.
What the?
Seraphin's quiet question interrupts your thoughts as the rig cuts across the belt. Hexport is now behind you, drifting out of visual range. Its glinting lights now just part of the background glow of the belt's thousands of reflective bodies. Whatever trouble you stirred up there, it has surely been left behind. Which is why Seraphin's muttering is worrying you.
More trouble.
Seraphin turns.
There's a transmission coming out of Hexport, some kind of evac order.
He turns back to his console.
Let me check this. Sleeper.
The voice, as distorted as it is, cuts through you. Lane.
I know you're there.
A hissing pause.
Is that coming from Hexport?
Seraphin glances at you, confused.
Is what coming from Hexport? Give me a second there, Sleeper. I'm getting a wide-channel broadcast.
He rubs his shoulder nervously.
They're warning people to alter their course away from the station. You're slipping away.
A squawk of noise.
But we can't have that. I take this personally, Sleeper.
A sharp intake of breath.
After all of my investment, all my care expended upon you, and this is how you repay me. At least we're heading away.
Seraphin interrupts.
Maybe it's just a precaution. I see a little something glinting out there. Could that be you? Sleeper?
You hear Seraphin calling, but you don't move. You don't breathe. All you hear is Lane's voice. You unclip from your restraint, drifting forward towards Seraphin. He gives you a wild look. Something isn't right. You don't feel right. Wait, is Lane taking control of your body?
Yep. We're being remote controlled.
A numbness grows in your body, your fingers flexing without your input. You reach out towards Seraphin. No, not you. Something reaches out to Seraphin through you. A tension flickers in his eyes. Fear. A hissing silence. Then a rumbling blast. All at once the rig screams, systems seizing, and electromagnetic paralysis. All at once the rig shifts, carried on by some shockwave of light. Pain, then darkness.
Drive failed.
And look at those two dice that are flickering.
Glitch. Okay. I hate to do this.
We have to stop.
We have to stop. This video is over 2 hours long. and it is going to continue to get longer. I love this game. It is so freaking good. The tension, the risk versus reward. The one thing Citizen Sleeper didn't do very well, quote unquote, this isn't really like a full complaint to get it against it, but the time pressure was pretty mild. Like once you're able to source enough money to get the stabilizer, there's really nothing that you need to worry about. You can mostly just forge ahead on any ending you want. This is a much more like really linear focused experience as opposed to like just kind of a freeform choose your own ending situation.
Who knows? It might expand with every station that you go to.
I'm sure it will, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. The other thing is there wasn't really much of an antagonist. Force and Citizen Sleeper was mostly just kind of SNRP and the couple of hunters they sent after you, but it wasn't really much of anything. And so this being a much more substantial experience is actually really exciting for me. But we really need to end this video, so we're going to leave you on the mystery and the cliffhanger of what happens next. We might come back for more of this. We probably will. It's just a matter of like balancing YouTube metrics with my desire to play more of this game. But for now, at least, I think I will say Citizen Sleeper 2 is available now on Steam and possibly other platforms. I actually haven't checked if it's out yet. I know if it's not, it will be later. Let's see. Yeah, can I actually check? It seems like it's also going to be on Switch. Yeah. So it releases on same day, and it's $25 down to $22.50 for launch, which I think is a very fair price for how good this game is. We've played probably only a small fraction of the game. Citizen Sleeper 1, I think, took me roughly 8 to 10 hours to complete, and we're already a quarter of that, and we just left the prologue, which means this is a considerably bigger game. Maybe more of a sandboxy one, too. We will see.
And I'm looking forward to seeing, how many more people do you have joining your crew? Will we ever run into Nia again?
Yeah, because it seemed like that was kind of a potential character, but she appeared and disappeared rather quickly. And maybe there were other routes on that station that we just didn't find. I don't know. But for now, at least, if you like this video in any way, shape, or form, leave us a like. It helps more than you know. And if you want to see more rad new games every single day, then hit subscribe, because we got tons to check out and show off. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.